Struggling to find that freaking audio recording that I found ages ago. Hey. Nice. Let me get up the stream myself just so I can when you start playing clips for a second. Hello everybody. Welcome to Phenomenonormal.
Hello, welcome to the Phenomenonormal. We are back, and as you can see by our screen here, we are going to be talking about the secrets of the moon today. I am Josh, joined by my co-host Aaron.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you for tuning in.
I am sorry about earlier here. I'm having some difficulties with getting the stream started up. I'm trying to change some stuff with the audio, just trying to fix things that have been suggested to me.
Yeah.
So just bear with me real quick. We're going to go ahead and get the stream all fixed and sorted, and we'll be starting the show here off soon.
Yeah.
Like I said, today's topic will be the secrets of the moon. We have quite a few things to talk about the I cannot pronounce these words. I am so terrible with words. The habitability.
Yeah, that's a hard word.
Yeah, habitability. Yeah, of the moon.
Habitability.
Yes, of the moon.
There we go.
That'll be our first topic here, coming up here soon. We'll also be talking about the hollow moon theory, bases and aliens on the moon, and moon lands and some astronauts accounts.
Yeah.
thank you all for who have subscribed to the channel, both on Twitch and on YouTube. We are a slow-growing community, but we tend to have quite a few people in the chat with us, which means you guys are listening in, which I am so happy and grateful for. Thank you so much.
Most definitely, thank you.
So I'm sorry, I'm still messing around with the settings here, people. Just bear with me. Gonna be getting into this here real shortly. We're gonna start at about 10 after with the show. So if you guys want to go grab something to drink and get your blanket wrapped around you and turn down the lights for this spooky discussion we're gonna talk about.
On your tinfoil hats if you feel it's necessary.
Yes, tinfoil hats. I actually said that to my mother earlier today when I was talking about the podcast. I said, "Yeah, let me get my tinfoil hat on." I do want to highlight Halloween is coming up next month. I am going to be having a special on that day. I will be announcing it on every podcast up until that day. We will be streaming at noon Eastern Time, United States Eastern Time, Eastern Standard Time, however you want to say it. At 12 o'clock in the afternoon, noon, we will be having a short podcast kind of discussion. It's not really a podcast, more of a discussion. We're going to be talking for about an hour or two, just telling ghost stories. So it's going to be our little special.
I got a few accounts from my own mother and whatnot when she was younger. She did a lot of Ouija boards and things like that. So I have a few stories to tell.
I have a couple stories as well, and something I think was a demonic actually experience. So we'll talk about that on Halloween night or Halloween day rather. We will still be streaming at our regular time at 5 o'clock, 5 to 9 on Halloween, and we will just be going over paranormal activity talks on that. But I do want to highlight that the special we will be live on Halloween day at noon.
Definitely.
So that will just be a little special for all you guys. Hope you guys are able to tune in for that. I want full audience inclusion on this one too. Tell your ghost stories. Leave them in the comments. Let us know what happened to you guys, and we'll share them as well. That's one of the biggest and hottest topics right now is paranormal, like ghost activities, and I'm excited. I'm excited for Halloween. Let me check my schedule here. Just a couple more things that might be coming up. Okay. Well. No, I will be here for all the days that we're having our episodes. All right. For those of you who don't know, I will be going out to Las Vegas here next month, but that won't be till the 20th of October, and we will have a show on the 17th and the 25th. So I will be back for all those, for the shows in between.
17th and the 25th. Let me look at those days.
Yeah, this should be a Tuesday and a Wednesday.
Fine, yeah, still the same.
But I'm just kind of waiting here, seeing who else wants to come in. We have a couple of viewers right now. I'm gonna go ahead and pin our YouTube up to the top of the discussion again here in the chat. So in case you want to come over to our YouTube, check out past episodes before listening to this one.
Yep.
It looks like it went away in the chat, so that's fine. We'll paste that. So again, if you guys want to watch our episodes, we have all of our episodes on YouTube, all three of them. We have Aliens, Oceans, and Pyramids and Ancient Civilizations on YouTube. They are also available on Twitch. However, I believe the Oceans episode will be leaving Twitch here after today. They do expire on Twitch, and our Pyramids and Ancient Civilizations one will be expiring in 6 days. So
if you have missed any and you want to check them out, feel free to go to our YouTube and check them out there. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about them expiring on Twitch. It happens. It's just the way Twitch operates. It's not like YouTube where videos stay on there.
Yeah,
because it's primarily a streaming platform.
Yeah, that's why I do post all of our episodes on YouTube as well. So if you want to go back and check out a video, head over there. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe.
Give us a dislike, and if you do, let us know why.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, dislike. Just let us know why. So that way we can keep on improving. I've
Mhm.
decided I wanted to kind of do these little intro things. My intros suck, I know. Bear with them. I'm terrible at speaking, especially when I'm in my room alone, just talking to a computer screen. Even though I know I'm talking to
Yeah,
all of you watching, you guys see it from my point of view. I'm talking to a computer screen right now.
yeah.
Um,
It's a lot easier when you have somebody else on the other end who's conversing with you and trying to,
right.
get the ball
And
rolling
that
yourself.
and that's why when I came up with the idea for this podcast, I wanted to bring Aaron on as a co-host, so I have someone to at least communicate with.
Yeah, yeah. Makes things much easier.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um.
Because when I'm doing YouTube and things like that, I'm trying to think of
Uh,
stuff to talk about all the time. Sometimes, yeah,
so
it's hard.
we got about 2 more minutes before we start the show off here. So one thing I want to highlight: the Discord. Discord is a go right now. I have it done. All
Hey,
right. I am not going to be posting it on the stream. I know, evil Josh. Uh, I will be posting that on our next podcast next week on Tuesday. I will
yeah,
be posting the Discord, so please come join us over there. Join the community, and we will be honored to have each and every one of you.
yeah.
Uh,
Also, just a bit of a quick one. Make sure you turn it off so the link doesn't constantly update. Because the problem is, default on Discord, it automatically expires, and then you need a new one. But you can turn that off. So just a bit of a
right.
play for you, lad.
Right. So
So
the Discord is set up. I had one of my buddies who's very savvy with Discord help me set it up. It looks phenomenal. I love it. So that will
nice.
be posted in our next podcast for you guys to come out
Yeah.
and join us on there. I am super excited for that, and I think that's just going to help our channel grow even more and
Oh yeah.
reach the ears of many more viewers, which is fantastic.
Most
Um,
definitely.
I've been reaching out to certain experts. Oh, we are about to ready to start the show. All right, I'm going to continue this though. It's my podcast. I do
Yeah.
what I want. So I have been reaching out to some experts on some of these topics. I haven't heard anything back yet. I mean, again, we're a small time podcast, but it'd be nice to have some of these experts reach out eventually, maybe once they weed through their
Yeah.
emails and see mine, and maybe can get them on the show. That'd be amazing.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Um, so I would be honored to have them on the show too if they happen to stumble across the channel by watching it or by looking at my email and hear me saying this. Please come on the show. We want you as well. Um,
Yeah.
this community is so small as is, and not enough people reach out. I do listen to other podcasts that are similar to this one as well, and they are a huge inspiration to what I do.
Hmm.
All right, so without further ado, let's talk about the habitability of the moon.
Habitability.
Habitability of the moon. All
Yeah.
right, so yeah, I mean, so I know Elon Musk has been talking about the possibility of keeping people on the moon. I know he's been more focused on the Mars project and the Starlink projects, but there is a possibility that we could colonize the moon here in the near future. I'd say probably within the next like maybe 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Um, that's if we continue as a civilization as humanity to strive towards the stars. I definitely see that as a possibility in the near future.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I mean, I as far as comfortability of living on the moon, I don't think it would be anywhere near
Oh
comfortable.
no.
At least not in our timeline. I don't
No.
even think in this new generation's timeline. They're not even gonna have that as well. They might be able to visit the moon for tourism type stuff in the future, but they're probably
Yeah.
not gonna be very comfortable.
Oh
Um,
yeah. I mean, it's in the middle of space, trying to get up proper habitats that are able to, house human
yeah.
life, oxygen
Um,
supplies, all that. There's so many things that could go wrong. It'll take them time to work out. I mean, there is oxygen on the moon, but it's mostly bound up in minerals and other elements like oxides. So not really something that we could just sit there and just be like in the middle of space, you know. But if we could find a way to harness that, the possibility of being able to survive on the moon could be there in the distant future. I don't see that being a near future kind of thing because it's getting to the moon is enough of a task as it is, especially being able to get back safely.
I think getting to the moon at this point, I mean, yeah, there's always an increased risk, especially when you're doing exploration type, you know, missions. I would say, to get up there, like there's always a risk, but it's relatively safer than I mean, obviously than what it was in the '60s.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
but I think the
but
biggest issue with trying to have habitats on the moon is the power. We need a power source to bring up there and to keep it there and have it
right,
sustained. And from what I've been reading on it, it seems like nuclear energy or solar energy is the way to go. Um, I would
yeah,
definitely,
solar panels and the
yeah,
like.
I don't think solar panels. I mean, the moon,
Well,
the moon.
they
There's
can
always a
produce
dark
power,
side of
but
it.
not enough.
Right, right, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's not going to produce the same way it would here on Earth, because we
Oh
have the
no.
atmosphere and all that too. With the ones out there in space, I mean, you would fry those solar panels immediately.
Yeah.
Not immediately,
Uh,
but like they would get fried faster than they would here on Earth. I mean, you got no
yeah.
ozone to protect it, no layers of atmosphere to
Right.
protect them. So from like UV rays, and that's just gonna eat away at those solar panels and destroy them.
Yeah. I mean,
So I definitely think fusion nuclear power is the way to go with that.
yeah.
It is a clean source of energy, despite what some people might say. It is a clean source of energy. Um, it's just the waste of it. Storing it. That's the issue.
Yeah. Not
Um,
only that, getting plants to be able to survive up there to be able to produce
well, I don't think that would be
what
an
is
issue.
necessary.
I don't think plants would be an issue. Um,
Ah,
because I mean
well,
we've simulated that here on Earth with green. NASA's done greenhouse experiments, and they I mean you can build a greenhouse habitat and literally just have Earth soil brought up there, and then we can plant the plants inside that, and just we have lights now that can produce the type of you know
yeah.
lighting like for like solar energy type lighting that
Well,
heats up the plants and
the
provides
the
the
main
stuff for them.
the main issue is though, getting the soil up there for the plants is a good thing, yes, but they wouldn't be able to get any more nutrients into the soil. So the problem is they need to keep resupplying it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that would be the issue is the resupplying.
yeah, and even if we were to say allow, say for example in the distant future, tourists to go up to the moon, how feasible would it be to stay for a long time? How frequent would it be? Because
Okay, so sorry, not to cut you off here. Uh,
yeah,
I see this picture here I'm looking at. These are, if I can't save this image here. Okay, let me see if I can't pull this up for us. Oh, geez. Okay, that's a small image. Let me zoom this in here. Come back over here. Alright, so these images right here that I'm about to display, these, I know it's a little blurry, bear with it. These are actually plants. It says regrowth. Um, so these are growth of plants in lunar regoliths? Regoliths in a laboratory with the Apollo program. So these are samples of plants
right,
right here. Um,
yeah,
that are being used essentially with lunar soil, I guess.
right,
So I mean, it is theoretically possible, I guess, to grow plants with the lunar soil.
yeah.
Um,
But the amount of plants you would need to get up there, it'd be a lot of trips. I feel
right,
like
right,
just to get that set up.
yeah. So I mean, so the plants alone, and then just resupplying the food because I mean they can't just survive off of just plants either. Like I mean, I know vegetarians or
Yeah.
whatever, but I mean you're gonna want some more subsistence if you're if you're an astronaut more than likely, unless you are a vegan or vegetarian. Then
Yeah.
by all means eat the moon plant. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely encourage other nutrition up there as well. As
Oh
far as
yeah.
building a habitat as well, I mean, you're talking about billions of dollars to be spent on a structure that will stay on the moon that we can
Oh yeah.
constantly keep going back to. It'd be the way I see it is because like NASA wants to NASA and a lot of the other space programs around the world they want to get rid of the International Space Station. They're like, hey, the mission's done, we're done with it. Let's get rid of it.
Right.
Um, I think the moon is going to be the next big you know planetary cooperation thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have essentially like what the ISS was. We're gonna have that on the moon, with a base there, and they're gonna have different pods for the different countries. Russia will have probably theirs, India, United States, China probably.
Yeah.
All like the big countries. The UK might even go up there, but I definitely think China, India, Russia, and the United States will be there for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe France as well. I know France has done a few missions too in the past.
Hmm.
But yeah, I definitely think that's going to be our next highlight as a human civilization going to space, look into space.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
mean,
then and then from
enough.
there, it's just going to be research projects and building launch pads so we can go from the moon to Mars.
Yeah, I mean, we know that building these crafts is incredibly expensive as well. So not only would they need to fund getting all the stuff there so we could sustain and survive, but also a trip up there. I don't think your average citizen is going to be going there anytime soon. That's probably going to be something for the more wealthy,
Well, yeah,
upper class.
they already have wealthy people going to space, anyways. I mean, what's his name?
Yeah, yeah,
Jeff Bezos there. He went up to space.
yeah, he did.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, it's definitely going to be the rich that are going to be the first ones to get to go up there. I mean, if you can afford it, if you got money, like million, like I would say like hundreds of millions to billions of dollars, yeah, you can afford to do whatever the heck you want.
that's it.
Yeah, go on a,
But
Titanic submarine thing, or go to the moon if you want.
yeah,
I wouldn't
I
recommend
mean,
the first option there, but yeah, you can go
yeah,
to the moon if you want. You can you can volunteer to go to Mars first. Like, you got the
yeah.
money, they're gonna let you do it, especially if you help them in funding the project.
Yeah, that's it. But in terms of habitability, it's feasible. I mean, like if we, I know this isn't specifically the moon, but Mars is like a 0.2-ish% atmosphere or something ridiculous, and they have bacteria living there. Now, obviously, we as organisms need a lot more than 0.2%, but it is feasible with the right technology and enough investment into it to be able to eventually allow the ability to habitat the moon. I feel like the one thing that we will need to discover as well, though, is possible mutations from living on the moon. I mean, if you
Have you
think
seen
about it,
the most recent moon landing that we did? I mean, it was a rover, but India just landed a rover on the moon. They yeah, I've watched their video a few times now. It's like a 3 to 4 minute video of what they posted when it was landing. It looks like Swiss cheese, like the video, not the moon. I mean, the moon kind of does
yeah,
too, but I mean, it looks like a 1980s video game being played.
right.
Their camera was not a good camera. Um,
So that's what I don't understand. Why is it they have all these terrible cameras? I mean, well, in today's age, we have 4K cameras and things like that. So why are all these cameras that they attach to these crafts so bad? Is it just purely because of the structural integrity is more important than the ability to record, or something along those lines? I don't get why we're using such crappy cameras for it.
I don't know. I really don't know. I can't tell you. I mean, like the Hubble telescope, that has an amazing camera on it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm thinking maybe it's just cost. I think it
yeah,
comes down to
maybe.
cost. We're putting all this money into all the equipment to get this thing here. Skip the budget on the camera.
Yeah. So take a freaking
But the yeah.
iPhone or
Yeah, right. But
Android
I
phone, I
mean,
swear.
what I'm trying to get at is, if you're gonna spend all those billions of dollars to get something to the moon, get afford, invest in a good camera.
Yeah, I mean, you guys get paid, right? You have paychecks. You just buy a camera.
Yeah,
It's just like, yeah,
yeah,
I'll volunteer to use my camera for this
yeah.
that I bought, you know?
Put a Nikon on there. you know, spend the extra $2,000 and put the Nikon camera on there.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's
I mean,
it.
yeah. So they in all jokes aside, India did an amazing feat. They get into the moon there with the rover. They landed in a place that's never been landed on before, and
Nice.
that was on the south pole, I believe, of the moon. So good job to
Hmm.
India. Congratulations on a successful
Yeah.
mission. It's fantastic work, and they got some really cool samples and shots of the moon from that side, which I think is kind of cool. That's the closest we ever been to that mysterious dark side of the moon. They were right there on the
Yeah.
cusp of it, so that was pretty cool. It was a
Hmm.
successful mission for India, and on behalf of humanity, for them, congratulations, great job.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I'll have to check out that footage myself at some point.
yeah, the video is just of the landing itself, coming in
Yeah.
on it. They do have other photos online that you can look up. I'm not gonna post anything. New York Times has videos of it. You know what? You know what?
Great.
Because I got the time right now for it, we're gonna go ahead and
Yeah.
we'll play this video here. It's a 30 second video.
Roger that.
Uh, so we'll go and put that on the screen here. All
Yeah.
right, here we go.
Waiting for it to show up on my end.
There's no volume. So
Yeah.
this is of the landing here. This is when it touched down. Fantastic footage, everybody. Yeah, so as you can see, it landed and all that dust is coming up, and now it's moving
Yeah.
around the dirt and everything. But yeah,
See, how come,
that's a lunar surface right there.
one thing I will say is, how come we're only getting
What
like
is
30 seconds
this?
of it? What are they
So
hiding?
see where my mouse cursor is up here on the top left. What is this? That's what I want to know. Like obviously you see all the little craters. The moon has a ton of
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
little craters from asteroids or whatever they say impact the moon. But what is this? This is like a ring.
Yeah. Almost as if something has been planted there at one point and possibly moved, or
Right.
that's a pretty solid indent by the lots of things.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it's not as much of an indent as the craters themselves, but it looks like there was possibly something
Here
on
we go.
it.
We got some more videos here for you.
Yeah,
15
that's quite
seconds.
interesting.
So here's the rover on the moon. So this the dark side right there. That's not the dark side of the moon. That's a shadow cast by the transport pod that brought
Yeah.
the lander to the moon. Yeah, it's not the dark side of the moon. That's just a shadow.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is on the New York Times, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, just type in like New York Times India moon landing. They have it all posted.
Nice.
They have a whole article and story about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah, they have the video of the rover moving around 8 meters, 26 feet across the surface.
Hmm.
The ramp rolling down, deploying the ramp. Yeah, they have a bunch of videos up on there, so go check that out. New York Times. Um,
Yeah.
if you guys want to see that, it shows where they landed, seen from orbit, all that kind of stuff. The landing site. Entering the lunar orbit, which is kind of cool of it. The separation of the pod and the descent. Um,
Nice.
the picture of the liftoff using the Mark III rocket, it says.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pronounce this thing. It's Indian, uh, Hindu,
Ah.
whatever you want to call it. I can't pronounce that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the New York Times, they got it posted. If you want to go check that out, there's other sites obviously too that probably have them, but I'm just looking at the New York Times. That's where these videos came from.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's quite cool. So
Yeah.
I do know I believe China has a plan to launch a rocket to go to the moon with humans on board. So we're gonna have another. China will be the second nation to have people on the moon. I
Okay.
believe that's scheduled either next year or the year after. So it's
Yeah.
pay attention to that too because like despite political beliefs here on Earth, like getting to the moon, getting to space, that's leaps for mankind for all of us.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's just I think we should never have stopped sending people there. I believe
No.
that the more we know, the better we are with it. And
That's it.
when you stop when we stop exploring as humans, that's when we start to sit down and start to hate everybody. We're a very bickering race of people.
Yeah.
Um, so when we
Well,
have like a common goal, though, we all come together as a people, and
yeah.
whether it be going into the oceans, exploring that, or exploring space, we all come together as a human race.
Yeah. And the only way we learn more is through research and experience at the end of the day as well. So, like, even if countries are at odds with each other and whatnot, getting
So
more countries out there and
yeah,
potentially having that information
so
shared would be a massive boon.
this happened on August 23rd for the India landing. I guess they had one that previously crashed in 2019, as did
Right.
Russia and the Japanese company this year. They all crashed on the Russia and Japanese companies satellite, or not satellite, but
Yeah.
rover, I guess, crashed on the surface of the moon this year, and India had one crash in 2019. So
Yeah.
again, it's never perfect trying to land on the moon. But they got one on there this time and got some amazing footage. So and a lot and some samples as well. I believe they took back. So that's pretty awesome. Very unique.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, one thing people may try to do when it comes to the moon is possibly drill into it if
yeah.
they could get the equipment out there. Because, we've tried that with our own planet. I mean, I can't remember how big the largest hole we've ever dug is, but I have a feeling that eventually some, civilizations will try and drill into the moon and see what's inside. Um, Possibly have like an underground base to shield people from the solar radiation, maybe. I feel like that could be quite feasible if they can dig into the moon
Yeah.
or habitability.
Yeah. So yeah, what they need in order to get on the moon and like stay up there though is they're gonna need like a large structure, obviously, that can shield them from the solar radiation.
Yeah,
They're gonna need something to shield them from that. Um, they're gonna need so it's gonna be completely encapsulated. You might be able to put some port windows in, but it's not gonna be a glorious place, and it's definitely gonna be some sort of research lab. Um,
oh yeah,
but yeah, they're gonna have to get something that can withstand the pressure of space as well.
yeah.
Which I don't think would
I
be an
mean,
issue. But it's not going to be comfortable living quarters. I'll tell you that much. But if we can get something up there and like as like a hard site, have it start building. I mean, we can make rovers or drones or something that can build that stuff. I mean,
yeah,
we're in the future now. We have the technology. Um,
right.
but yeah,
I mean,
we can just if we can get at least that started and built, then we have something that we can go back to.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, who knows? There may be a difference if we are able to, like, say somebody was able to eventually live a full life cycle on the moon. potentially reproduce and whatnot, and we was to like fully habitat the moon, it's going to be way distant into the future, mind you.
Yeah.
But say that becomes something that's possible and feasible, we may have some evolution of some kind. As we
Yeah.
know, many species on this planet have evolved over time to adapt to environments. Who knows what kind of possibilities could happen for the human race? We know that there is a race of people who are able to hold their breath for um, much longer than the average person because they have evolved to adapt to it because they mostly live in the sea. That's their whole living. They live in the sea, they have little huts, they mostly dive down for fish and all kinds of other things. So if they were able to get that kind of DNA from hundreds of thousands of years of their people doing that, who knows what possibility could come from us in the
Yeah.
future for that moonfaring
Here
humans?
we
Could
go.
they be able to adapt to a lesser atmosphere, a less
Yeah. I
oxygen,
say we just do.
maybe adapt to the solar radiation a bit more?
Yeah, I say we do this. Go full Futurama here. Just make the lunar park. Let's go. And we get the lunar parking right there.
Yeah.
See that? Yeah. That's what we're gonna do right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Screw the research. Screw the science. We're building a theme park, baby. Let's go. But yeah. So that's what I say we
Generate
do.
a lot of money.
No.
Would it though? Because at the end of the day, if we're paying so much to get to the moon,
It,
would we even have money for
it'll,
the park?
it'll be the political elites Disney.
Uh,
But yeah, no, like
uh,
I mean, essentially something similar. I mean, I wouldn't say a giant dome like that. It'd have to be covered, but
yeah,
that along that concept though is what we're gonna need to build something there, And then
yeah,
yeah, there's been blueprints and drafts up. They're online. You can go on and look for yourselves. I don't have
yeah.
any pulled up right now, but they do have
Well,
like different habitation blueprints that have been drawn up of like how they can make a moon base for ourselves up there,
yeah,
which is kind of cool. NASA has a thing on their website like you can draw your own blueprints, probably so they
yeah.
could steal your idea, use it for their
Yeah,
own. Europe's been having like the European community as a whole. They've been doing this whole like what do you call it there? Like a program essentially they've been doing. So
mm,
yeah, so something similar to this even like this is kind of what they're looking at doing.
right.
So as you can see in the center there, they got like some sort of garden, but then there's like different ports to go out.
Yeah,
They got underneath these like craters here, they got these domes, and that's like habitation where they're living underneath the moon. Like they
yeah.
dug into it.
So, yeah, because I mean, feasibly that'd be a great way to shield you from the solar
Right.
radiation, and because it's on the moon itself, you're using
Yeah.
the moon.
So moon
It
tower.
saved a lot of resources needed to be transported out to a degree, and once feasibly settled under the moon, could then dig deeper in and establish,
So this is
more
how
buildings and whatnot,
this
tools
right
and
here
supply.
shows you how it's supposed to work. So they're gonna have greenhouses underneath the lunar surface, according to this plan here.
Yeah,
And solar energy gets produced in there and beamed down in, and it gets dispersed out to the actual. So like I was saying, for the solar energy, and the panels and stuff, they'd have to build something
yeah,
specific, something special that would be able to withstand it. And then, because direct
yeah.
sunlight on the plants on the moon would just melt the plants. They would. Yes, I know the moon's cold, but
Right.
the sunlight would melt the plants because there's nothing to protect it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's got we'd have to redirect the light downwards or upwards or however it would be like
Yeah.
this is showing to
Indirectly feed the light into it. Yeah.
right, yeah. So this is called the moon habitat concept. This is on uh Numo Planet. So you can check them out. Moon habitat concept. Again, it's just a concept.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what I was looking at before the show too. But yeah, so this is like more designs to the base. that we could build. I mean, look how massive this thing is, though.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I was talking about. It's going to cost billions, if not trillions of dollars to build something of this scale.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be a long-term project. Because
There's you right there on the moon, right? We got Captain Space Ranger here waving at Aaron out the
yeah.
porthole.
Hello down there.
Star Trek here.
Yeah.
It's a good concept. I like it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
could
just
work.
it's not feasible.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if we were to evolve our technology more, possibly it could become feasible eventually. But yeah, a long distant future. Because even just getting one of those built, the
So that was
cost, the time.
if you want to check out that site that I just showed you, it's called moonhabitat.space.
I mean, let me just look. So, how long does it take builders to build a building?
Oh,
We'll,
I mean,
we'll just say a house.
a house.
So, on average, it takes
probably a
like
month
6 months.
Yeah, well, here in the United States, it takes probably about like 2 to 3 months. But we
Right.
also build our buildings different than in Europe.
Right. But we have all our supplies here where we need them.
Right.
So, that's going to take that many months. And then, obviously, we would need new technologies to incorporate and make sure that's all working and set up correctly. If one of these things breaks, we'd need the supplies to repair it and fix any errors that are going wrong with the building.
And
It could easily be turned into years.
Well, there's something else I wanted to throw out there, right? And I heard
Hmm.
this on the podcast a couple nights ago. I don't remember what the name of the podcast was. I literally for those that don't know, I listen to a bunch of podcasts. I scroll through them, I listen to them, so that way I can get ideas as well. But yes, I piggyback off other people sometimes. But one of the people on the show there that I listened to, they said that Earth has a unique resource that we have not found anywhere else in the galaxy right now, and that is wood.
Right.
We have wood here on the planet, the trees, and we have yet to find it anywhere else in space. We have places where we speculate it may be, but we can't confirm if there's wood there or not.
That begs the question, what other resources are there on other planets? And on top of that, the moon itself.
So,
what resources could be in the moon that we haven't found yet?
Wood in itself is our number one building tool. We build almost everything out of wood, right? As far as our structures go.
Even our concrete buildings, we use wood.
Yep. Yeah, even concrete buildings, we use wood in them. So every kind of structure we have wood. Our railroad tracks, wood. Wood and metal, but wood. Have our skyscrapers have wood in them, believe it or not. These giant metal skyscrapers have wood in them.
Yeah.
So all of our houses have some form of wood on them or built into them. So, as we go further out, we're going to have to bring that wood.
Right.
In some way or capacity to build.
Exactly. I mean, yes, you could make things without wood, but we're so dependent on it, and it helps build with the structural integrity.
Yeah.
Like, yes, concrete is stronger than wood to a degree, but wood is still used for support beams and all kinds of things mixed in with it, because, like the concrete, the wood isn't just going to start cracking and breaking. I mean, yes, wood deteriorates and stuff like that all the time. But
I wonder, would it be preserved in space? Since it's a vacuum.
It's a good question. What kind of vacuum? What would the vacuum have an effect on the wood? I mean, wood can be dried out and all kinds of things. What kind of effect would the vacuum actually have on it?
Because wood deteriorates here because of the elements, essentially. It gets wet and it starts deteriorating and cracking, and but in space there's no element. It's just a vacuum.
Right. That's a brilliant question.
Yeah. That might be something I'll look up after the show. But but yeah, just that's interesting.
Yeah, because wood is. I feel like we use more wood than any other resource on this planet. Let me just check that.
Well,
Which
here's the
is
big. While you looked it up, the biggest thing is like we have the technology here and now to build a habitat on the moon and survive there. We could do it. It would be extremely expensive, and that's why we don't do it. That and the cooperation between all the countries, I just don't think is there either. So it's just
yeah,
going to be incredibly difficult to do all that. Um,
yeah,
but oh, excuse me. That being said, I mean, I definitely think we have the ability to do it, but
yeah.
it's just yeah, getting everybody to cooperate, and then all that money that needs to be spent on it. The space programs of the world just don't have that kind of money coming toward
Yeah.
them.
I mean, we globally we consume supposedly about 19.3 foot free of wood per person per year. Uh, Considering we have billions of people on this planet, if we were to go with that, the calculations on that, like, yeah, it's the amount of wood we do use is insane. Um, so yeah,
I mean,
wood would definitely be used, I think, on
yeah,
the moon.
and we have machines that can create oxygen as well. So like it's like a
Yeah,
rebreather type thing. You know, it turns the carbon
I mean,
or dioxide into oxygen. I guess I don't know the
it
science behind this, but it works.
it may be possible to eventually, if enough oxygen is supplied, grow trees on the moon. Now, I doubt we're going to be getting like your typical forest trees, big thick trunks and whatnot, but they'd probably be a lot more thinner, more stunted growth, sort of thing. They wouldn't really be harvestable to build with that much in
Mm-hmm.
that state, mind you. But we may eventually start to transfer trees over there because trees do produce a good amount of oxygen as well.
All right.
Uh, but without the elements and whatnot, water would be a big issue. I mean, supposedly there is water on the moon. Um, so
Well, I mean, there is according to
feasibly,
what we know. Apparently, there's ice on the polar caps.
yeah.
But I mean,
So
India landed apparently at the south pole of the moon, and there was no ice there that I saw in the videos.
right,
So who
if
knows?
if there is water, then obviously the roots could theoretically get it from under the surface, possibly. But in terms of feasibly having trees grow to a size where we're chopping them down and using them,
Um,
I don't feel like that'd
yeah,
really be something that we'd
we
do.
haven't really even drilled into the moon either, so we don't know if there's water underneath,
Right.
like there is here on Earth. You know, we can do scans here on Earth to detect water underneath the land, and that's how
Yeah.
they'll dig there and build a well. You know,
Yeah.
but we haven't really done that on the moon either, so we don't know.
I mean, we don't even know if this water would be even safe for us to drink.
Yeah, right, right.
Um, Goodness knows what microbials and bacteria could be there. I mean, drinking from rivers and streams and stuff like that, that can be dangerous to you if you don't have like a dipstick or something put into the water to get rid of
Yeah,
most of the contaminants, and
like a
then you have to
pH strip.
boil it. Yeah, it's
I mean, even if you boil water, it's still not technically safe to drink. Like, it's safer because you'll kill off a lot of the microbes and stuff, but it's not safe to drink boiled water, despite what the rumors
okay.
and
So
theories say. You still have to filter it.
here's Here's what NASA says. In 2020, data from NASA's Sophia mission confirmed water exists in the sunlit area of the lunar surface as molecules of H2O embedded within or perhaps sticking to the surface of grains of lunar dust. So I guess there is water, but how much would be there and could it be feasibly used? I don't know on that concept. And we would need, obviously, hydration. We are humans. We do need to drink. That is a very important resource. I mean, food is important, yes, but without water, you're going to die a lot quicker than starvation will get you. So that would be a massive task as well, because if we can't feasibly get enough water on the moon, that would require us to constantly keep transporting it for people to drink.
Right,
And
right,
depending on how many people, that's going to keep depleting, and then that requires more trips and more trips and more trips.
right.
So that's probably going to be one of the biggest obstacles that we're going to have. I could see them maybe, if they're able to, growing cacti or other things. There are certain cacti and certain
Like desert type plants.
yeah, certain trees where you can get water from them by I don't know the exact name of the tree or whatnot, but I believe there is a certain tree that can contain water inside of it, and you can get a little bit of water from it. It's not a huge amount, but supposedly you can drink from it.
Right. What do you think the likelihood of us getting to the moon and building that and is within our lifetime?
Within our lifetime, I'm gonna say no.
No.
Um, I mean, is it possible? Yes. But the issue is there's just so many complications and issues. It's how much this is going to cost, whether they can feasibly keep doing this within our lifetime. I mean, hell, I'm almost 30 now. Goodness knows how long I have. I could have 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, is it possible? Yeah. But I feel like it's mostly going to be unlikely just purely because of the fact the amount of money and resources it require. And with us constantly bickering with each other rather than pulling our resources together and working together as a planet, I feel like that's ridiculously stunting our possibility. If we was all like aligned in this common goal, I'd say yeah, most definitely. Because if you had, most of the richest nations, pooling their money together, research and all that into this, that's something we would we'd leap so far into technology if we did this. Like, if we as a planet all came together, stopped bickering,
Yeah.
we would leap so far ahead in technology.
We are at our time for break. So we'll continue this here at top of the hour.
Yeah, sounds good.
See you then. Alright, we are back. I'll pause that. Alright, so,
Yeah.
as we were
So
talking about.
as I was saying, so we were. If you've only just tuned in, we were talking about would we feasibly be able to live on the moon in our age. So yeah, as I was saying, if we pulled together our resources to the bickering, most definitely within our lifetime. I mean, the reason why I'm saying no is because if we said the moon landed, that was back in 1969. Until around 1972, we've sent about 12-ish people to the moon and stopped completely.
Right.
And only now is China planning on sending people, and it's 2023. That's 51 years since we have done so. So that's why I say no in our current lifetime. Because unless we seriously invest and work together and focus on this instead of fighting and bickering with each other, and the possibility of World War III kicking off because of bickering like children over our toys, resources, and money on Earth, instead of setting up a global economy and work as a planet, if we did stop all that and all work together and focus on this thing, like going to the moon, setting up a base, and all this kind of stuff, and we had all the nations working together, I'd say yes. But as we are now, no way in hell, because it's been 50 odd years since we last sent someone to the moon. In our lifetime, I don't see it happening for us to be able to safely habitat the moon and live there unless we get our act together and say, you know what, let's work together, let's focus on other planets out there instead of our current resources and look for other places and focus on a common goal. Let's work together. All our scientists working together around the globe, all our space researchers and all that, if we got them all together, working together, yes, possibly. Would it be hard and a massive stretch to accomplish it? Of course, still. But, yeah, I just don't see it happening in our lifetimes just because of the way the world is and, constantly bickering like children all the time, fighting over silly things and resources and stuff. So yeah, I don't see it happening in our lifetime.
Right. Alright. So for the next topic here, I wanted to go over the hollow moon theory.
Right.
So I know you've done a lot more research into this than what I have, so I'll let you kind of go over it.
So let me just get this up. Right. So we purposefully crashed something into the moon, and so yeah, the moon on November 20th, 1969, Apollo 12 deliberately crossed the ascent stage of its lunar module onto the moon's surface. NASA reported that the moon rang like a bell for almost an hour. Now, think about that for a moment.
Yeah.
Vibrations ringing something for an hour, which has led to many arguments that the moon is hollow like a bell. Because how else would it be ringing? They've managed to cause this whole moon. I don't know if it's a whole moon, but they've cut it. it's gotta have been. If it's been ringing for an hour, the amount of vibrations that must be getting sent down and bouncing off different vibrations and stuff to persist for an hour. I mean, you ring a bell, how long does the ring last? How long is that vibrating for? Should we say like 20, 30 seconds at most?
Oh,
This
no,
rang
no.
for an hour.
Yeah, bells will ring for quite a while. It's just the hum of it will go down over time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so for that amount of vibration, could it be hollow? I mean, I'm going to say most definitely if that's happening, or if the moon isn't actually what we think it is, could be something else under there.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it could
if we
be
take,
hollow, but also it could just be that there's a lot of deep caverns.
could be, but if we take a look at like the impact craters on the moon, for example, lots of impacts at the crater, but there's a limit to how deep they go. Regardless of the size, they stop at a certain diameter of how big the craters get, almost as if there's like a inner crust or shell or something incredibly solid that's able to withstand this impact.
Mm.
Um, because I find that very strange that so many craters have basically a limit to how deep they are indented and then it just stops. You'd think with the amount of things that have hit this moon and caused these craters, there'd be some that are much deeper down, but then again, we've only explored a limited amount of the moon. So it could be that there are other places,
I
but
mean,
on the sides that we have explored,
look at these right here. These are pictures from NASA. Um, these are hypothesized to be caves on the moon.
yeah.
Like they're
Um,
openings that go deep into the moon.
yeah.
So I'm just saying, it's something interesting that these
Right.
are let me see here. The lunar
So,
pit harbors comfortable temperatures. It says.
yeah.
So yeah, these are
The,
deep craters
mm,
into the moon that are basically caves.
yeah. The South Pole Aitken Basin, stretching around 1,550 miles or 2,500 kilometers wide and 8 miles, 13 kilometers deep, the South Pole Aitken Basin, as a tremendous hole, is known to Earthlings, is the oldest and deepest crater on the moon and one of the largest craters in supposedly the entire solar system. I don't know about that one. We have no way of perfectly measuring that, I don't think.
Right.
And we can't view every bit of surface on all the planets. So I'm going to completely say no to the entire solar system part. I feel like that's just complete speculation.
You're right.
But for something to have made an impact that wide, it had to have been something big, right?
Right. Right.
So this thing would have had such a powerful impact, yet the moon's still intact.
Right.
The structure of the moon has to be very solid
Yeah. I was looking
for
up.
that.
I just looked this up here. It was a conspiracy theorist board. But they were just
Yeah,
saying like, oh, there's no way that an asteroid could hit the bottom of the moon like that, and blah blah. I was like, well, this person, the person that commented, I'm not gonna put him on blast here, but
yeah,
they're thinking of everything as a two-dimensional thing. I think, you know,
yeah.
um, like
I
they're
mean,
thinking, oh, the asteroids have to come from the left or the right, from the moon. No,
no,
space is a very,
they,
four-dimensional even type place. Like
yeah.
it can come from wherever.
I mean, it could have even traveled from another solar system, you
Right,
know,
right. And it can
and
come
just
it can come
been
from left, right, bottom, top, diagonal, wherever.
yeah,
It's literally the queen on a chessboard. Asteroids out there, they can go wherever they want.
right. But yeah, the surface has to be incredibly solid though to withstand that impact and still be, you know, in one piece essentially. So the fact that the bell's still rung, that would indicate there are lots of hollow. So it's either hollow or there's lots of caves or caverns. I feel like that would have done a lot more. If that was the case, because if there are holes and stuff, that compromises the structural integrity. No?
Right, yeah, absolutely.
So, we'll get onto the topic a little bit later on possible aliens on the moon, but I just want to harken back to last episode where supposedly one of the Greek philosophers says there were Arcanians which were pre-moon. On this Earth. So apparently the moon wasn't always there, and that's led many to speculate that possibly it being a craft of sorts. Now that would make sense if we go with the bell ringing, and also if it is a spacecraft having an incredibly dense, surface to withstand an impact of an asteroid. I mean, if we are talking about aliens possibly,
Right.
living in the moon and being a craft, that would make sense.
And
but
we don't really have many images of the dark side of the moon either.
Right. Yeah. Supposedly there's lots of theories and things of possible alien bases, but we'll get into that topic later. But I just want to say, just the fact that this thing took this massive impact, and this must have been huge. I mean, I don't know how I can get this picture to you. So I'm gonna get this to you. Give me a moment. Of the supposed radius of the crater, and then look how massive this is. Give me a moment. Right. So if you get that up on the screen for everybody, whenever you're able to, because this will allow me to give you a bit more of a talk of what I mean by how massive this is.
Try and do this here. Open it up. There we go. All right, there we are. It's up on the screen.
Right. Okay. So yeah, guys, if you have a look at the size of this image, right? So that's the moon.
Is that the South
And
Pole?
look how that's supposedly the South Pole at Aitken Basin. Yes.
Okay.
So this is supposedly the radius of the giant crater that has impacted, right, on the moon. Look how big the moon pick is and how big that circle is.
Yeah.
The size of this asteroid that would have hit this moon would have had to have been huge.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know mathematical equation here, but like if we go with that, I'm just gonna say yeah, that's so much of the surface. I mean, I don't know how to quantify it, but the asteroid would have been massive. The impact it would have had on that moon.
It looks even bigger than that circle too, because it looks like it comes up here as well.
It is.
It's a very oblong shape. It's not just a circle, and then you got the crater inside the crater too.
Yeah, and the moon looks perfectly intact despite this massive impact, and it's supposedly hollow inside. It's ringing like a bell. There's lots of caverns and stuff, reducing the structural integrity. Yeah, would that not have cracked the moon?
Yeah, this looks like an elevation map as well. So, not. I mean, everybody might be thinking this is a thermal map. No, this is a elevation map.
Yeah.
So the blue is being like, lower, red is higher. So as you can see up here, it's a little bit more mountainous.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. This one is a better summary. Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. Oh my. Let me remove that. That's from the other day.
Yeah.
There we go. Right, so this actually highlights it a lot better. This image
Yeah.
right here.
Okay. Here we go. We'll
Yeah.
go ahead and save this. Uh,
So I'd say that's about what 30 to 40%. Actually, if we took
there
that
we
from
go.
the bottom, that's about, yeah, I'd say about 40% of that side of the moon's impact.
Mm.
Because if you took this the outer grey area and you put it down at the bottom of the moon, it would reach up to roughly around the center, right?
Yeah. So yeah, right here,
From that,
this pink ring here. This is the one I
yeah,
was talking about before. About how look at the
mm.
shape of it. It's not a circle. It's more like an oval. It's like an
Yeah, yeah,
oblong
yeah,
type shape. And then you got this
yeah,
black ring here, which is like an outer layer.
yeah.
This is so the pink rings highlight in like the actual impact
Mm.
where the actual crater is. The black ring is like highlighting all the low points. That's what the black ring is. And then this like
So,
reddish brown ring is highlighting like I don't even know what that's highlighting. I guess maybe just
I don't know, just an outline maybe.
yeah from like the
They're trying
South
to
Pole
like show the South Pole, yeah.
because the South
So
Pole's right here.
yeah. So with that, that's about 30 to 40% of that side of the moon's surface. So this asteroid, 30 to 40% has crashed into this moon.
I mean
Why is it not caused more damage?
I'm assuming it had to come from the asteroid belt
Mm,
because there's some massive objects out there.
yeah. But yeah, this moon is still intact. It's not cracked. There's no big crack running down the surface or anything like that.
I mean
And
maybe
that's a huge
yeah
asteroid.
um you know, who knows when this happened as well. So,
Mm,
you know, if this was, you know, millions and millions of years ago, you know,
right.
the moon, if it isn't hollow, assuming, and there's a core and everything, just like the planets, right? Uh,
Mm,
I could see it still being intact just for that fact. But if it's hollow, yeah, it should have cracked open.
yeah.
But if it isn't hollow, then yeah, I understand. Like, you know, it would have reformed by now.
Yeah. But how did it ring if it is solidly intact and there aren't loads of
Yeah.
caverns and stuff down there? That's the
Yeah,
big
and we
question
can
that's
get
got
into
so
that
many
this topic. Like you
theories.
said, we'll get into this topic later too. But there is also a
Yeah.
theory that says that this is actually where an engine is.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that
So
for the moon being a ship itself, and there's an engine there apparently. But that's
yeah.
I told you guys at the beginning of the show, get your tinfoil hats because we're gonna dive deep into all of it,
Oh yeah.
all the
But
conspiracy.
it's this is why so many people speculate that it could either be a craft having like a solid interior to withstand the impact, or it being an engine or whatnot. But I just find it crazy that it rung for an entire hour. The amount of energy,
Yeah, look at
because
that.
bear in mind that's just from us crashing something into it. From our ascent stage of our lunar module, and we managed to make it vibrate for an hour. Goodness knows what this would have done if this was a, asteroid or meteorite or whatever that's just flown off into the moon. How much would that cause ringing if we managed to do that with just a simple module? That's just it's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. So according to what NASA's saying, they have the man. It's no different than the Earth essentially. The moon. They're saying it has a mantle, the partial melt, the fluid outer core, and then the solid inner
Mm,
core.
yeah,
Um, but I mean, again, this is all speculation.
right.
Even NASA, like for them saying, "Oh yeah, it's just like Earth," that's speculation. We don't know.
Exactly. It's not fact. It's
Right.
just what we think
So
because we haven't done enough
here's
research.
the breakdown of the body and the momentum of interior factor, right? Hollow sphere
Yeah.
0.67%, right? Or 0.67, right? Uniform
Right.
sphere 0.4. Denser at the core. Uh, gr- Sorry, yeah, it's greater than 0.4, right?
Right.
It has like the moon, Earth, and mass at core. So the moon says 0.39. You know, here I'm just gonna bring this up. I'm literally pulling this off of Wikipedia, but they have the sources on there from NASA and stuff too. So you can go to the yeah, you can pull you can go to it as well. The hollow moon theory. It's on Wikipedia. They have it, but
Yeah.
here I'm gonna pull this up for you guys
I mean,
so you can see it. I'm gonna try and zoom in first before I actually bring it in.
yeah. If we talk about because like you said, we haven't been drilling into the moon. So yeah, this is complete speculation. We don't know. Until we dig into the moon's crust and properly delve deep, we won't know the full information on the moon.
So here you go.
So this is
This is what
completely
I'm looking at right here.
speculation and theory.
This little section right here, right? And this is from the
Right.
moment of the interior factor, right?
Yeah.
Zero it ranges from 0 to 0.67. It represents distribution of mass in a spherical body, right?
Right.
So that's what it's talking about here, and this is what their recordings are. Like how much hollow
Yeah. I
space
mean,
we have compared to um, how much hollow space is like on our planet. So on Earth, it's in we have
yeah.
0.33 out of a 0.67. The Moon has a 0.39 out of a 0.67. That's what they're saying.
Right.
Um,
But how do we know that if we haven't been digging into the moon? So
right.
again, speculation, right? Because we're theorizing. I guess that'd be classed as until we fully dig in, we're not going to know this
Yeah.
information. How do we know how dense the core is if we haven't actually dug into the core, so to speak? I mean, we've not even dug into our own core,
Yeah. So
so
again, if you guys are
we're
interested,
again
Hollow Moon. I'm
speculation.
looking at Wikipedia. There's actual more
Yeah,
important, like reputable sites for this, but
yeah,
um, see, here's all the references though where you can go to. So NASA's on here somewhere, but they
yeah.
there's tons of sources for these.
Right. Uh, the thing is, as well, if we think we have everything mapped out in terms of life, so we need to have a Goldilocks zone for life to exist and all that. But we're just going off what we know, what we've learned. There could be organisms out there that can survive without oxygen. Hell, there could be organisms that could survive within lava or volcanoes or things like that we just wouldn't know about because they're on a completely different planet. We do not fully know what constitutes life being able to survive and sustain itself. For all we know, there could be beings inside of the moon. They may not be intelligent like us, but they could be creatures of sorts if they are hollow on the inside. I mean, we have bats and things which like to dwell in caves here. Why wouldn't there could be a possibility for an organism being inside of the moon?
Right. Right.
For all we don't know this information. We like to say
I
we
mean, we
do.
see
Like,
it in
oh yeah,
science
we
fiction,
figured it
but
out.
we
But
don't know for certain.
until we get more people out there and start researching, getting more people on the moon, conducting these surveys and tests and things like that, we need to do this first. Otherwise, we can say we know this and this is facts and whatnot, but it's not. It's a complete theory. And many people just take it as words written, like, oh yeah, this is definitely how hollow the moon is. And then it's taught to you in schools and all kinds of things when we don't actually know the information. I mean, I remember when I was a kid and it's like, oh, well, Pluto is a planet. And then now they say, oh, Pluto's not a planet. Well, so the facts have changed now? How
Well,
did a fact
yeah.
change if a fact is
Now they're
fact?
calling it a dwarf planet.
Right. So we're teaching facts that aren't facts when it's completely speculation and theory. So again, with the moon, we can say it's this dense and it's this hollow and all this kind of stuff, but that is complete theoretical science rather than actual science figuring out the facts currently, as it is. But one thing I do know, if you hit something with a big enough object, you can damage it. We know this, physics and all that kind of stuff. We know that as fact. So if an asteroid or meteorite or whatever that big impacted that moon, it's got to have caused some kind of damage. But it hasn't seemingly caused massive damage to the moon. So it could mean that it could be denser and more solid than we even know about. It could be incredibly solid on the inside of the moon. Um, Especially being able to withstand an impact like that. But with the ringing in that's gotta either there's some kind of metal or some kind of material which is taking those vibrations and maintaining that energy. What kind of material can hold that kind of vibration for that long?
The History Channel has something on it saying several science fiction books of the early 20th century, including H.G. Wells' book, The First Men in the Moon, takes place within a hollow moon inhabited by aliens. In the 1970s, or 1972, Soviet scientists took a seemingly whimsical premise a step further, proposing that the moon is actually a shell-like alien spacecraft built by extraterrestrials with superior technology and intelligence. According to astronomers, the moon, through admittedly God, why do they gotta put so many big words and just speak English? As far as celestial bodies go, couldn't maintain its mass and gravitational field if it lacked a dense core. So, according to astronomers and stuff, they're basically saying that this moon couldn't hold an orbit around us if it was hollow.
Yeah.
I mean, if who's to say it isn't hollow, but these aliens have some sort of gravitational field built inside of it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it could very well be that. If it is a spaceship, they have a gravitational like machine that creates a sort of gravitation. Because obviously there is some sort of gravitation there, because astronauts have jumped on it and landed back on it.
Right.
So to say that there's no gravity, which these astronomers are claiming that we're saying it's hollow, so there's no gravity. That's not what the claims say. They're not listening.
Right.
These astronomers that are claiming, if it didn't have mass and there wouldn't be gravity, and no, just because it's hollow, we're not saying it doesn't have mass.
Right.
It could have artificial mass.
Yeah. I mean, they say there's no gravity. That's why we need the boots to stay. These heavy suits with heavy suited boots to stick to the moon's surface. But there has to be some form of gravity to a degree, or you could just theoretically just fall off the moon.
Right.
Right? So maybe not gravity as we know it, but there may be some form of pull to a degree, because even with weighted boots, I feel like there's a possibility of being able to just completely fall off the moon. If you went round a certain side of the moon, you just walk off and fall into space, right? There has to be something to keep you there. So, even if we were to say habitat the moon, risk if there's supposedly no gravity, people going to a certain side of the moon and just falling off in space.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny when you think about it, but also incredibly frightening when you think about it. Like, imagine if something happened, you happen to go flying, and oh, well, there you go, bye. See, like, you just floated off. Yeah, I mean, there has to be something, because something has to be able to pull for you to stick. To a degree. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the moon rotates like on a tilt, right?
Right, right.
So if you stayed on the moon long enough and that tilt happened, you happen to be on that tilt, eventually from its rotation, you would, yeah, fall off. So that'd be another thing we'd have to worry about. And if there is no gravity, if a building wasn't structurally secured to the moon, and it was on that tilt, when the moon has you on that tilt upside down, that building could just fly off into space because it'd fall off.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah. I mean, how did we know there was no gravity on the moon before he
I guess we just assumed.
just assumed, yeah? But it could just be that the gravity is so weak compared to our own that you need assistance to stay onto it. But there could still be forms of gravity there. I mean, we can't properly measure gravity properly, so to speak. There's a way of measuring it to a degree, yes. But we can't fully be like, okay, there is 100% this much gravity. The most we could do when it comes to teaching is people use those. They take like a piece of cloth and they use those ball things, and they roll towards like the dip. And that's how they try and explain gravity to you when they're teaching it in universities and things like that, supposedly. So that's our way of teaching people about gravity. If we knew a way to properly measure gravity, could we not? Why are we not teaching people how to properly measure gravity? Again, I feel like that was speculation, and we think that there's no gravity, but there's a gravitational pull on the moon. That's why it stays within the orbit, supposedly, of the Earth, right? And revolves around with the sun. So there is gravity there. So to say that there's no gravity at all, I don't know. There's got to be some form of gravity if there's a gravitational pull keeping it in place.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I've been looking at a lot of these different sites here about this. Like I said, you did a lot more research on this topic than I did. Um, and the more I'm looking at it, the more it's starting to make sense. It really does.
Yeah.
Um, playing the devil's advocate here about the aliens and stuff, though. I mean, not saying it's an alien spacecraft, but to say that yeah, it's hollow, and I'm thinking maybe not hollow, but definitely some deep caverns, like
Yeah.
big ones that connect to each other, and there's a lot of empty space inside the moon.
Yeah. I mean, considering there's no elements, is there? Could the erosion wise? So we have a lot of erosion to things like concrete, stone, even water, and other atmosphere. If you have metal, eventually the oxygen oxygenates it and starts to make it rust. With a lack of elements out there, is there a different form of corrosion the moon could have? Could it be possible that there are some caves from impacts with meteorites that have been made and possibly over time has eroded into caverns or something along those lines? We don't know. But it is a possibility. But I'm just trying to think of a singular material that could produce a ring, like a bell, for up to an hour, and the amount of energy, so the kinetic energy into that, and being able to hold it and keep transferring it for up to an hour. I wonder what kind of minerals or materials are inside of the moon for that to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, metal only goes so far in how long it rings for. We could probably make some ring for maybe a minute, if that, but an hour? I don't think we can do that at all. So, what materials are inside of this moon? What might we discover that we could harvest and use? Um, could we potentially use this material? Because it has the ability to contain kinetic energy and use it as a tool of sorts for certain things. I mean, if you get the right vibrations, there's certain people that can supposedly tune their voice to a certain pitch and make glass break through vibrations of their, throat. I don't know the proper name for the muscle. But with the right vibrations, you can cause glass to break. We know that sound waves and energy waves are a form of vibration. They can cause breaks in glass. So, whatever this material is, goodness knows what kind of vibrations it could cause and what it could be used for.
Yeah. 100%. I just, just like we've talked in our other podcasts, there's just not enough research going into this kind of stuff, though, to discover if it's true or not. The scientific community has all just come together with these, these are concrete facts. It's not hollow. There's no aliens. They say all this stuff, but they don't have the research to prove it.
Don't actually know.
Yeah, they don't have the research to prove it. They have research to prove, like, from where they've been and what they've done to say, yeah, in that area there's nothing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we haven't been around our entire moon. We don't know.
On top of that, they are using this information and treating it as fact to research and study off. Now, the issue with that is, if you do not know all the information, how can you make a proper study? It's like, I'm just trying to think of an example. Like, okay, so I can make a chocolate bar by using this, and that. But if I'm missing a vital component to that because I don't know it, and I'm thinking that I need this other material to make this chocolate bar, and I'm just going off theory, I might not be able to make a chocolate bar because I don't actually know the information. It's like not having all the pieces to a recipe and then trying to make it. And I feel like that's what a lot of these researchers are doing, is that they don't have the whole recipe for this research, and they're going off what they think is facts and trying to study from that, which then creates cracks in what they're trying to study because there's vital pieces of information missing, information that is wrong that they're using to make these theories and hypotheses off and things of that nature.
Well, I mean, it's like the whole Loch Ness monster thing too. Like they I think they just had the largest hunt for it ever in history.
Right.
And still came up with nothing. But at least there was a organized effort to look.
Mm-hmm.
There's things like the Marianas Trench or space and the moon that people just aren't. The research community isn't looking into it. There's nothing going into this. Up until recently now, where China's saying they're going to put another man on the moon, and India's sending in a rover, and it's slowly starting to regain some traction. But I think that's just because that's what people are talking about nowadays.
Right.
But there's not enough resources going into this stuff.
If you think about everything we've accomplished today, all the technologies we have, learning what plants are poisonous, what are edible, what you shouldn't eat, and all that's been over thousands of years of research and people experimenting and trying things out. And in terms of the moon, we've done barely any. Same with our oceans. We've done barely any compared to other bits of research that we've done throughout the thousands of years we've been here. So,
right.
We don't know what we might discover or what may be possible or feasible because we've barely done any research at all. We've gone, okay, we think this, and we're going to write this down as facts, that this is this hollow, and this is this, and this is that, without the actual basis of the research there, because they've not got the actual research. It's one of those. And it's going to take us hundreds or thousands of years to figure out more about this moon and learn all of its secrets, probably. Because until we properly invest in doing so, we're not going to know this information. We're just going to keep theorizing and speculating, and we're not going to get anywhere. We can make breakthroughs here and there, sure, and discover things, but until we properly get boots on the ground, we properly research, starts harvesting from the moon and looking at things and testing things, what's able to survive here, what organisms, things of that nature, I'm not going to know.
It's going to be incredibly hard to do. Again, it just comes down to the risk of sending people right now.
Yeah.
And the
cost.
And the cost, yeah.
Yeah. And the dedication, how much people are willing to put into it. And if something goes wrong out there, you are screwed. Right. Essentially. Yep. It's like the oceans, you know. We're not designed to be in the oceans.
Yeah, I mean, just getting off the planet first. That's the first step. Just getting off the planet. Never mind actually being out there.
Yeah, if you're stuck out there, like if you're stuck in the ocean, you're at nature's mercy. Or I guess in this case with the moon, you're at space's mercy. Whatever's going to happen to you is going to happen to you, and there's nothing you can do about it, which is incredibly frightening. I mean, weren't there supposedly an astronaut that floated away from a moon mission and was lost into space or something?
Not that I've heard of. I don't believe so. I know there was an astronaut that there's been astronauts that have gone in orbit and then just, supposedly that. I would have to look into it more.
Okay, it hasn't, no.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure there's been an astronaut or two that's probably like gone up to orbit the Earth or something, not come back, but.
Yeah, so supposedly there hasn't been anybody who's been lost in space. Like, what happens to you?
Well, there's been animals.
Yeah.
So. I mean, there's been the Russian dog there.
Yeah. Did we set up a monkey at one point?
Yeah, monkey at one point. Yeah, they never made it back.
Yeah. So, they're out there somewhere. Goodness knows what happened to them.
Oh, they're definitely dead.
Well, yeah, I know, but I just mean like in terms of like, goodness knows what happened to the body. They're still floating in space. Have they crashed somewhere? Something taken them? If there are beings up there and aliens, who knows? Maybe they could have retrieved them or something like that. We don't know. But imagine how frightening it would be if you was actually on one of these space missions and you went flying off into space and you was lost. How terrified you would be, in your last moments, you're stuck in this place that you have no control over, and you're just drifting off and you're inevitably going to die. Imagine the fear that monkey and that dog must have been feeling.
Yeah.
And when you take a human consciousness into that field with our I guess you what's the term for it? Consciousness, and how we can imagine things and picture things and theorize about things in our brain. The amount of things that would be running through your mind, that'd be one of the most scariest experiences you would ever go through. And if that ever happened to you, goodness knows what would be going through your mind. It's a terrifying thought. If one of these things goes wrong and that happens to you, I mean,
here's the thing with the Hollow Earth thing, or Hollow Moon thing as well. It's a Hollow Earth. Hollow Moon. There has to be a deep enough crust though on it though, because we were able to step foot on there and land things on there and even crash things into it. Even if it rings, there's a strong enough shell that it can support. Things going on to it.
Withstand impacts from meteorites and things, leaving these craters. It has to have a strong integrity to be able to withstand such things.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how fast these meteorites would be traveling, but the faster you hit something, the more energy you're going to generate and the harder you're going to hit.
Yeah, and
So,
unfortunately for like the moon or Mars or wherever, we're not going to really be able to explore deeper into the surface of these places until we can develop better suits as well. Because I mean, the suits that we use are
yeah,
still, they've improved over time, but they're still the basic 1960s design.
yeah,
They
and
have better tanks, better, life support systems, things like that built into them nowadays. But they're still the same kind of design pattern. They're big, they're bulky, they're heavy. Um,
yeah,
Whereas, until we get something that's more slimmer to the body, to be able to move around in, we're not gonna be able to start
yeah.
checking out like caves or crevices of these, extraterrestrial like places like the moon or
Yeah.
Mars.
I mean, with the Kola Super Deep Borehole in Russia, that took 20 years to complete, by the way,
Mm.
went 12,262 meters or 40,229 feet deep. And they had to stop because it got too hot.
Yeah, I love the whole
So,
reason behind doing it too. They were like, "Why are you guys
yeah,
digging this hole? Why not?"
yeah. Right. So,
Like,
getting the stuff out there to produce something that could dig deep enough into the moon for a start, getting all the supplies up there, and you'd need somebody to manually construct and build the big drill, and that's going to take a very long time, especially having to send out resources, having the power to even power this thing, repair any issues with the software or, I don't know, the drill eroding away
and then,
to needing to be
well,
replaced.
what if we're wrong too? And it's not a hollow moon; it is a solid surface. We start digging into it; it can knock it off its trajectory.
Right.
We're getting rid of the mass on it. Like it
Yeah.
could really throw off the moon. So you got to
And
think of all these dangers.
if that happens, the consequences for the Earth would be disastrous. I mean, we know the moon has an effect on our oceans.
Right.
So,
So I saw a really cool graph of this online. You can look it up as well. I'm not doing all the research right now today, but
yeah,
it's like a little video kind of, and it shows like the Earth orbiting the sun, and then the moon orbiting the Earth, right? And
yeah,
as the moon is orbiting the Earth, it pulls the Earth. So we're not flat, we're not a sphere, right? We're more like an oval shape. The Earth is like an oval shape. So as the moon
yeah,
comes around one side of the Earth, it pulls the Earth towards it because of the gravitational pull from the moon, and that's
yeah.
what makes the low tides.
Right.
And as it comes around that area and comes like to the other side, makes high tides on that side, on the opposite side of it. So wherever the opposite side of the moon is, they have high tide, and whatever side the moon is on, there's a low tide.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of interesting, and it's a little neat video. Maybe, what? Screw it. I'll look it up. I might not be able to play it during this segment here, but I'll definitely play it for the next segment just to kind of show you when we get back.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I mean,
um,
the funny thing is, see, I know this is a little bit off topic, but this has been a thing that's been studied many times. But supposedly, not only does the full moon affect our oceans, but can also affect behaviors of us and other animals.
all
Because
right, there we go.
supposedly, a
I got
study,
got it kind of right here. Let
yeah,
me just zoom it
but
in and.
yeah, supposedly on the full moon, more animal attacks tend to happen. Apparently, humans are more aggressive. So it might not just be the moon that the ocean that the moon's affecting, possibly.
Okay, so
But then there's studies which disprove it. So it's like back and forth.
I'm
There's
gonna
so
play
many
this right
things
here,
on it.
and then we'll go into our break. So yeah,
Yeah,
as you can see right here, see tidal bulges due to the gravity. So like the Earth, right, is how the Earth is. Gravity is pulling from both sides here, right? And then
right.
because like wherever side the moon goes on,
Yeah,
right? So as it goes around, it pulls the Earth, and see how like that lighter blue comes out? That right
yeah,
there is actually the shape of the Earth. on one side at any
Right.
given time. So like, take out this side for instance. That's how it would be facing the Earth.
Yeah.
So this right here wouldn't be like this. It would just be right here because the moon's right
Yeah.
there. But if it was on the other side, it would be on that side, and this would be pulled in. So it would become like an oval
Right.
shape. That's what the Earth will look like. It's like an oval shape,
Yeah.
and that's what creates the high and low tides.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting, and that's why you don't get the high and low tides at the North and South Pole, as you can see in the graph right here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it would be disastrous if the moon was shifted off its axis and whatnot. Goodness knows what it'd do to the trajectory of its orbit. Maybe it'd knock it off completely. Maybe it'll go a different way. The possibilities are endless. So, the one issue we do have as a human race is a thirst for knowledge. And I feel like somebody may be crazy enough to actually risk it just to find out. you
Yeah,
know?
but
So goodness knows what could happen in the future.
yeah. All right, so we're gonna go into our next break here, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the moon bases and aliens.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, see y'all in about 10 minutes or so.
Yep.
Alright, we are back. Alright, so for this hour, we're going to be discussing moon bases and aliens here. Aliens of the moon. I do see we got a comment in there from Oriental Lion. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name here, but appreciate that you're offering that promotion, but we're going to have to decline on that. We are strictly here just to talk and have a good time, and eventually our channel will grow.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah. So as far as like, the topic of a moon base, right? What I meant by that, right? It kind of goes in with this hollow moon theory of, possibly being aliens inhabiting the moon, and that they either live on the dark side of the moon or inside the moon. Those are the two big theories there. And you had something that you mentioned before about before the show about the what was the alien race there?
So supposedly, according to one of the Greek philosophers, there were supposedly another humanoid race called the Arcanians. They were supposedly here pre-moon. Supposedly, as well as many other ancient civilizations, supposedly have depictions of a moonless Earth in their carvings. Now, that is quite strange to me. Because that would indicate that the moon wasn't always here. We've been told that it was, formed here millions of years ago, and these ancient civilizations are saying, oh, well, the moon never used to always be here. If that is the case, that would indicate that the UFO would be, the unidentified flying objects in this case, would be the moon itself.
Right.
Which is crazy to think about, and if that was the case, and this is a giant craft, for example, it could explain the strength of the structural integrity, being able to withstand an impact from an asteroid or something, as we discussed earlier. But what I want to actually discuss about in terms of that is it possible that the moon wasn't always here? If that's the case, what kind of technology would be required for that kind of thing? Because it has an effect on our oceans, on our planet, right? To be able to move a spaceship of that size, the amount of power you'd need, first of all, would be astronomically huge. Secondly, the technology you need to be able to impact a planet's oceans is just completely unfeasible on how could you possibly do this without like what kind of technology would be behind that? That's wild to think about. And it just I don't know. I find it weird that ancient civilizations are saying that the moon wasn't always here, but I can't feasibly think of a way that the moon could possibly be moved to here and be able to do all these things. So it's one of those. It's I can't comprehend how that would be even possible.
You sent me some images here. Like, what are we looking at here?
So these are supposedly what people have captured of being some form of craft on the moon, supposedly. I don't believe these are actual images of crafts. I mean, if we take a look at the last one I sent you, that looks too much like our fantasy kind of starships, like something you see in Starfield or No Man's Sky or something ridiculous, right? And considering most UFOs that we know about are mostly circular or triangular of some sort that we supposedly have visiting the planet, I feel like that can be ruled out. The other one does look triangular in shape, but that could just be a natural moon formation. Like maybe I don't know.
Okay.
There's a bit of the center which is interesting, and then a triangular shape around it. It could just be that something of that shape possibly impacted with the moon, maybe, and it had a hole in it, and it just happened to make that kind of shape. But
So what's this first? What's this image right here that I just got up on screen?
right, so it's actually a link, and supposedly these are mysterious structures found on the planet's surface. It's about 54 seconds long, where people have highlighted what they believe to be some form of alien structure. But again, some of these just look like natural formations. I can't feasibly say these are definitely crafts, but I do find it weird that in one of the craters, the image is incredibly blurred.
Right. This looks like an
So,
older photo, honestly. I
yeah.
mean, I don't know if this is a modern photo, if it's or if it's like a photo from maybe like the '70s, '80s, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, then again,
But,
we saw what the photos of today look like when we went to the moon.
yeah. If we go to around 7 seconds in, though, you can clearly see what appears to be a blurred section on that photo
Okay.
in like a circular object. Do you see what I mean
So
at the bottom
what
left?
about this one here? What's this?
Right, yeah, that's the triangular shape that I saw. So supposedly we have triangular UFOs or circle dish UFOs
All right.
that we supposedly see, right? Now, the centerpiece with the white bit is, that's interesting. But it could just be that something was possibly a meteorite broken up and happened to have a hole in the center, and when it crashed, it left like that piece intact, and happened to impact around it. But
I mean, these are very. It definitely looks like a ship.
it does. It really does. It could be a natural formation or some form of pareidolia, maybe. Or it may actually be a ship. I just find
Okay.
it very incredibly interesting to speculate on. Because if the moon is, say, a spacecraft, why would they be using it like an aircraft carrier? Would they not have a way to fly the ships into the moon to keep them from being detected or something on those lines? Because these aliens are very advanced in technology.
Right.
I mean, if they are able to make it
So
here, they have to be.
there's also the whole theory of there was aliens once on the moon, but they're no longer. And that they
Yeah,
used it as a jump base kind of thing to get to Earth,
right.
or like a forward operating type place to get to Earth. Now, whether or not that's all, that's all. Everything's all theory, but it's
Exactly. I mean,
but
if
and once we started going to the moon, they were like, okay, well, no, we can no longer use this place, you know.
yeah, if we go with that, so let's say we were talking about intergalactic travel, the moon being like the main vessel that has the technology to make that warp, so to speak, to be able to get here. Would need massive engines, and we have theories and fantasies of warp drives and things like that. I mean, if you look at Star Wars and whatnot, being able to supposedly like jump light years ahead to another location. The amount of power you would need for that would be incredible, and a moon as big as it is could possibly have a very big energy core if that was the case. Um,
Right.
and then the aliens left it here, maybe, or maybe They just retreated inside. Who knows? Um, it's interesting to talk about because they do speculate there are alien bases on the moon. Supposedly, I can't remember which astronaut it was, but supposedly one of the astronauts said he saw an unidentified flying objects when they were traveling to the moon. Now, he didn't say it was aliens and it was a UFO. He said an unidentified flying object. So, could it be that he mistook something, or was there actually something possibly witnessing our arrival onto the moon and watching us, seeing what we do, what we're doing here? Like, we don't. We can only speculate, of course. But I just find it strange that for the longest time, governments were saying, no, aliens aren't real, they don't exist. And now, supposedly, in recent history, they've been releasing alien reports to us and being like, okay, yeah, they are here, and only releasing some of it to us. I find that strange that they suddenly unclassify it and be like, okay, well, they are here, if they weren't actually theoretically here. Unless it was to cause confusion and keep people guessing, who knows. But I just find it weird that suddenly the government was just like, right, we're keeping this secret for this many years, and then suddenly, oh, well, now here you go. Here's some of our reports. Here's our confirmed UFO information. Like, could it be that aliens are using the moon as a observatory of some sort, or a way to communicate with us, have conversations with our governments? I mean, the far side of the moon is almost like unexplored.
Right. I mean, we've had satellites go over there, but we haven't sent any rovers or people or anything.
Well, actually, supposedly China did send a rover to the far side of the moon.
Did they? Okay, I stand corrected.
So, I think it'll be in my history on it, because
yeah. I'm trying to find stuff about these Arcanians for the moon.
Yeah.
I'm not really finding a whole bunch.
Okay, so this is about a Wired. Alien hunters need the far side of the moon to stay quiet because supposedly the far side is normally protected from all the radio noise emanating from Earth, but certain researchers worry that new visitors are going to kill. So China made history in 2019 with its Chang'e 4 lander, became the first spacecraft to land on the far side of the moon. During the 2-week lunar days, the lander and its small rover U-22 beam images and other data to an orbiter for relay back to Earth. Together, they furnished planetary scientists with unprecedented access to the backside of our Janus-faced neighbor. But not everyone was thrilled that China crossed into this new lunar frontier, and few have been more vocal about their concerns than the scientists involved in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Okay.
So, supposedly, there was a bit of a debacle about it. Last month, the SETI Permanent Committee of the International Astronautical Association hosted its second round of negotiations about the lunar far side in Washington, D.C. The exploration of the moon might seem like an issue outside of the purview of this group of professional alien hunters, but the far side of the moon is the most radio quiet place in the inner solar system. They want to keep that away in case ET calls. Indeed, they argue that the fate of the lunar far side may determine whether we ever detect a signal from an extraterrestrial intelligence. So that's claiming that we haven't, supposedly, that would mean that we haven't received info from ETs, and we're still looking.
Right. Excuse me. It's interesting.
If we go back to 2022, the Pentagon released a video of a UFO supposedly Just trying to see if I can look for this. Right. So this will require some videos to be played. This one's from the History Channel. And supposedly this is footage that was released by the Pentagon. No, hang on. Why has it done that? That's not supposed to be what I'll send you. Somebody isn't. Why is it? Hang on. Let me do this. Boom. Okay. So this is on the History Channel. This is supposedly released by the Pentagon. So if you skip to about 38 seconds in.
All right, let me pull this up here. I'm gonna pull this up here on the screen. I'm just waiting for my ads to go through. Say about 48 seconds in.
Let's say 38 seconds. Would be a good point to jump to.
Okay. All right, let's put this up on the screen here.
Yeah.
Let's put the volume on, and let's go ahead and turn this up here. All right, let's go ahead and play this.
Right.
Cell phone.
So this is supposedly released by the Pentagon. History Channel has it on YouTube.
Is it the Pentagon? Okay.
Yeah, the Pentagon released this in 2022.
Watch closely. Did you catch that? It's not something you just see in Top Gun. Let's zoom in. For a split second,
I'm not hearing
it
the
appears
sound.
to be an unknown spherical metallic object hurtles past the plane. According to journalist Amy Title, when this video was shown to Congress, the mysterious craft shook the halls.
I'm gonna go back a little bit here. It's about 31 seconds, and we'll go and play from here. Just changed the volume, turned it up a bit.
In his airspace.
It was
As
on my
the
end.
pilot scans the skies, he also takes out his cell phone, and that's when he captures this. Watch closely. Did you catch that? It's not something you'd have seen in Top Gun. Let's zoom in. For a split second, what appears to be an unknown spherical metallic object hurtles past the plane. According to journalist Amy Title, when this video was shown to Congress, the mysterious craft shook the halls of Capitol Hill.
The U.S. government could not...
Okay. So that's from the History Channel, he said? Yeah, History Channel right there in the corner.
Yeah. This was released by the Pentagon, supposedly. Which is interesting. So, if we go with a possible alien base being on the moon, or aliens possibly being in our oceans, as we talked about in a previous podcast, feel free to check out our oceans one. The moon could possibly be a place where they refuel their ship, or crafts, or whatever they are. It could be that's where they have their base set up, potentially. I doubt they're just constantly traveling, light years to our planet from wherever the hell they would be. They would want somewhere more local and closer to preserve fuel and things, right?
Yeah, so I definitely think that there's going to be more that's going to come out about the stuff, especially because the Pentagon came up with this new UAP program, which is what they call UFOs now. So they came out with, they're like, hey, we're definitely investigating this stuff now. We're coming out with more stuff on it.
Yeah. And there's another video which I sent you a link to, where supposedly an unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, was released by the U.S. Navy. If you skip to about 119 into that video, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay. You said on that site you just sent me?
Yeah, the second one.
Okay, where's that video at?
It should be a little bit down. It's not that far. Scroll down a little bit.
Okay. Let me pull this up over here. Said about 190.
119 or something, yeah, I think.
Well, you can't do a 190. You mean 130?
What? Hang on, wait. Where'd the video go that I was just... Hang on. The video's gone. What's going on? That's weird. I'm having an issue. Okay.
I have it. I have it here on my screen. Putting it
4
up
minutes
now.
13.
Yeah. It's up on the stream here.
Right. Just waiting for it to come through.
Um.
So yeah, this was released by the U.S. Navy.
So let's back up. Let's back up a little bit here.
Yeah. 119.
119. Okay.
I think.
All right. We'll play here.
Actually, 109. 109. 109 would be
early in
better.
the fall to examine unidentified
Yeah,
aerial
play from that,
phenomena.
that's fine.
The study will focus on identifying available data, how to best collect future data, and how NASA can use these data to move the scientific understanding of UAPs forward. A short way I would talk about that is take a field that is relatively data poor, make it into a field that is much more data rich and therefore worthy of scientific investigation and analysis. NASA's mission, of course, as I just said, is to...
So I just want to pause it real quick, right? So this right
That
here.
looks more like...
This right here, right? The black object, right? That's so when I was doing my research for the Navy, right? We're different from... They use the same technology essentially with the this infrared camera, right? The difference is they use black as cold and white as hot, right? When we used our thermals, we usually used white hot, black as cold. So they do it backwards from us.
Right.
So we use black hot, white cold, whereas they use white hot, black cold. So with that object being black, it means that it's cold.
Right. So it's not giving off a bunch of heat, which is crazy, because you'd think if something is flying in propulsion-wise, it may be able to appear cold, but over time it's going to heat up. It's going to start to change.
Right. Yeah. So what we're seeing is that it's a cold object.
Yeah, I mean, normally I'd say...
For the unknown.
Normally I'd say, like, that looks like something similar to what we'd produce, because it looks like it's got, like, a aerial fin to a degree, but the way it's rotating...
Right.
We can't manage that. We can't get something to be in place and just rotate like that.
And really, that's the lifeblood of our scientific inquiry. We have the tools and teams who can help us improve our understanding of the unknown, and we are prepared to use these powerful tools.
And just so we're clear, right? Because this is all public, anyways. You know, this is the type. Look at the tech that we have for this, right? They were tracking this thing going across the sky here, and then they were able to home in on this little white dot and say, "Yep, this is what we're tracking now." So they locked onto this thing.
Right.
You know, they were able to lock onto it. So there's no mistaking that this is something that they see.
Yeah.
Yeah, their targeting systems locked onto this thing, and I'll go back a little bit here, and look how just watch how it
much more
tracks
data
it, right?
rich. And of course, access, frankly, is part
So
of
it
that.
Look how
takes
fast it
long.
tracks. Look,
Range of
see how
observations,
they're scanning
of
it,
Earth
right?
and
They
space,
lost for a sec,
yeah.
scanned
and
it,
frankly, that's the lifeblood of our scientific inquiry. We
and
have the
then
tools
locked.
and teams who can help us improve our
yeah.
understanding of the unknown, and we are prepared to use these powerful tools of scientific discovery in this case.
It's crazy because we're able to keep lock on this thing, right?
Right.
And that just goes for anything, right? Like our technology for our military equipment, right? It locks on and it stays locked on. But what I want to notice too is, like, look what's happening to the camera right now. It's getting all fuzzy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go back again 10 seconds and we're gonna play this again. I just want to see what happens.
Right.
And teams who can help us improve our understanding of the unknown, and we are prepared to use these powerful tools of scientific discovery in this case as much as anything else, using exactly the same kind of approach.
Okay, so that's what happened. It was getting fuzzy. He switched from the black and white hot.
Yeah.
So see how it's white right now? So he has it flipped. He has it flipped right now. So the white is showing it should be showing hot. Cold. White should be showing cold for this.
Yeah.
Prepared to use these powerful tools of scientific discovery in this
and then
case
they switch it to where the black
as
is
much
cold.
as anything else, using exactly the same kind of approach that we always use.
And they switch it back.
Unidentified phenomena in the atmosphere.
I mean, I don't know how fast this thing is actually going, but the fact we're able to track it and just keep focus and keep following it.
Alright. I apologize.
I mean,
I'm looking at the stream
supposedly,
right now.
I think
supposedly that's minus 35 degrees.
Yeah, I'm looking at
if you've noticed that.
I'm looking at the stream compared to what I'm seeing, and the stream it's really blurry compared to what I'm seeing. It's clear as day for me on my screen, but on your screen it's a little bit blurry.
Yeah, I know. But if you actually notice, it was minus 35 degrees for a moment.
Let me go back. Let me see.
So on the left-hand side.
Yeah, right here, minus 32. So, okay, yeah, so like I said, black is showing cold. So that right there, this number, is showing what's being targeted.
Right, and it's below 32 degrees.
And that's Fahrenheit.
I don't know.
That's Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit. I don't know whether that's freezing like we have with our Celsius.
Oh, yeah, no, that's well below. So our 32 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Like positive 32 degrees, I believe, is freezing. Oh, let me make sure. Freezing point. Yeah, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, positive 32 degrees. That's 0 degrees Celsius.
Right.
Which I never understood Celsius, because if you add 32 degrees to 32 degrees, that becomes 64 degrees Fahrenheit. But if you add 0 and 0, it's just 0.
Apparently, from what I'm getting off Google, minus 32 Fahrenheit is minus 35 degrees Celsius, which is below freezing.
Oh, yeah, well below freezing.
Yeah, look at the speed this thing is traveling.
You know what? I gotta ask you that. As someone who uses Celsius, right?
Right.
So for Fahrenheit, 32 degrees is freezing for us, right?
Yeah.
So if we add 32 degrees with 32 degrees, that becomes 64 degrees Fahrenheit, which is nice weather. But for Celsius, if you add 0 degrees plus 0 degrees, you have 0 degrees.
Right. I don't understand. I don't understand it myself, even though I use it.
I'm just saying, freedom units are better. It makes sense.
We did it right. You just wanted to change things because you're American.
It makes sense mathematically.
All
right. But yeah, it's just. All right. Sorry, I'm just doing some stuff here, looking at some stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
we
good.
can. I'm not gonna continue playing it now. We're gonna go back to our main screen
Right,
here.
yeah. So,
But yeah, that's impressive.
yeah, especially with the speed it's traveling. So, that should have generated heat. If that would have been our technology, traveling at that speed, we would have definitely been producing heat there. That would have been a hot craft, I'm pretty sure. That's how heat-seeking missiles work. They lock onto the temperature, and then they track stuff. Yeah, we're able to track something that's below freezing, even.
Right.
And
So yeah, we were able to track that thing going across the sky there.
yeah,
And like you saw,
so
I mean, like we were to track the temperature, the trajectory, everything about it.
yeah, and the moon's supposed to be cold, right?
Well, yeah.
So
It's out in space,
so
so
right, so it's supposed to be really cold on the moon. Cold enough to potentially freeze water, and there's supposedly polar ice caps and whatnot on the
so
moon.
daytime temperatures
So,
near the lunar equator reach a boiling 250 degrees Fahrenheit or
right.
120 degrees Celsius.
How do we know that if we haven't gone into the moon?
Well, I mean, we have like
Speculate.
ways to
Oh,
test it with
well.
thermometers and stuff. Like
Right.
yeah, we have ways of doing that. While nighttime
So,
temperatures get to a chilly negative 208 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 130 degrees Celsius.
right. So, these beings, if they are an alien race that is supposedly living on the moon, would need to be able to withstand temperatures below freezing to be in that craft, essentially, because it's got to be incredibly cold inside. Could it be that they are able to survive the moon's negative degrees?
Well, I'm assuming that with the way that all these aircraft or UAPs that we've been seeing lately and we've been tracking, they're all cold.
Yeah.
Every single one of them are cold.
So could it be
So
that
I
it's a
think
cold
that
species?
yeah, it's a cold species. They live in the cold. They're used to the cold. They're climatized or wherever it
Right.
might be. Like they have to survive
Yeah.
in colder climates. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking, at least.
And then if we harken back to
But yeah, they definitely have to survive in some sort of colder climate here.
yeah. But if the deep ocean below about 200 meters depth is cold with an average temperature of 4 degrees Celsius or 39 degrees Fahrenheit. So if this is the same species, that would mean they can survive cold and above cold, theoretically.
Right.
But if they could survive on the moon with the coldness, and then they could survive in our oceans with it just being mild, I guess, so to speak, mildly cold.
And
Um,
I have a new theory.
yeah?
I have a new theory. Not the whole Atlantis theory, right? But I believe maybe, very possibly, there
Based in
is
the
a
Antarctic?
species that lives under the ocean, like a fish type
Mhm.
species or whatever have you, right?
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
lives there and is more advanced than we are.
Potentially, yes. I mean, you got the
And then we're just mistaking them for aliens.
We supposedly got an alien craft inside of the Antarctic. They could actually be alive in there. That would mean they'd be able to survive. If they could survive 200 degrees on the moon, minus 200 degrees, they could survive in the Antarctic. 100%. Maybe that's why the governments are so interested in exploring there.
Yeah, could be.
Can't explain where all that money's going.
It's
'Cause
penguin.
It's not for penguins.
Penguin research
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. Billions on penguins. Yeah.
and climate change.
Yeah. Because it costs billions to, measure a bit of water and check
Yeah.
temperatures and.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the average
definitely.
everyday person doesn't do that with a pool in their backyard.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But all right.
yeah, no, we need the government to come in and help out with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where's that clip of Reagan there? I'm from the government and I'm here to help. When he said that's the most dangerous thing that you can hear.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, they could be a seafaring species. I mean, it might not even be alien at all. They could actually be native for all we know.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe we're mistaking it for aliens when it's really not. It's something that's always been here.
Yeah,
And it's been here longer than we have, and it's more advanced than us.
yeah, that's it. Could be. I mean, but yeah, feasibly. I mean, if they are definitely a cold adapted species because of having the
Yeah.
cold, they could live on the moon.
See, the problem with my theory is that the human ego doesn't allow for us to think that way.
Yeah.
The human ego is
All
no,
right.
we're the most advanced here on Earth.
Yeah.
We've been all over. We know what it's actually like, but no, we have no idea what's below our waves. Nothing.
Oh, exactly. I mean, we're not researching
Yeah,
it,
we talked about
and,
that on
I
our
know.
previous podcast. I mean, we have no
And-
idea.
and the
No.
reluctancy to investigate the oceans. I mean, I know this isn't a talk about the oceans right now, but I sent Josh a video a little while back, and there's these sea crabs, which
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I watched that video. Yep.
yeah, these are from like prehistoric times. You know,
Yeah,
they've
the
evolved
horseshoe
and still
crabs.
alive today. Yeah, the horseshoe crab, and they have properties which are used today in all our vaccines and medicines like that, because their blood is incredibly precious
Yeah.
to us. Now, if we can find
we
a
did
horseshoe crab,
experiments with it, and we were able to cure some cancers with it.
yeah, right. So the fact that we are able to find this useful stuff in the oceans, but are refusing to explore more of our oceans and look at other possible sea life that could give us such benefits, there's got to be a reason behind it. There has to be.
Money.
Why the government is so reluctant.
It's money. I think it's money.
Yeah. But
So
I just find it
look,
crazy how reluctant they are.
some more Josh lore for you guys who do watch and want to know about me. Right? Is I went to school for history, right? So I have a history degree. So, with that being said, like when you track history, you follow the money.
Yeah.
Everything in history revolves around the money. Beyond like
Oh
the
yeah.
prehistoric and stuff like that. But since the dawn of civilization, everything's revolved around money, some form of currency. And if you track
Yeah.
that, you learn more about history than following any other path.
Yeah. I mean, you take the Vikings that were doing raiding, why were they doing it? For gold and riches and all kinds of things. Money. Yeah,
Well, I
if
mean,
you
even-
go back to ancient wars, it's about money and land and owning
Well,
things
going back to our last podcast, I didn't really talk about it, but I should have.
Yeah.
It was the first civilizations. Why did they start? Right? Well, the currency
Right.
at the time was food.
Right?
People started planting crops, and then the person who planted all these crops became the landowner and the king or queen or whatever have you, right? And they
Yeah.
were the one in charge. That society followed the money. Whatever the money
Yeah.
was at the time, you're going to learn about history. But
Yeah,
I think that's
and
why
then-
we're not investigating the moon. We're not investigating the oceans. We're not investigating any of this stuff because there's no money in it.
Right. But there could be.
It could be, but
If
think like an investor. Are you
Yeah.
gonna invest your billions of dollars into something that could be or something that is?
Right, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, these are could be's, not they are's.
Yeah, no. But there could be all kinds of things down there. I mean, we're researching the jellyfish that can supposedly de-age itself. So there's a jellyfish out there that we call the immortal jellyfish. It has the ability to regress its aging cells and return back to infancy and start again. We are supposedly researching this creature because people, we have a fascination with immortality, living longer, not having to worry about death, not being confined by it. Now, we could get into all this topic on another podcast, but yeah, money is the driving force behind practically everything. Money makes the world go round, as they say, and it couldn't be any further from the truth. It's it couldn't be more truthful if you tried. Money is everything, and whatever's most valuable is currency to us and other people. Food is a commodity that we need, and is a currency in many places of the world still to this day.
I mean, so look at the moon itself, right? Like, so it's always been
Right.
studied and speculated about all throughout history, but the only reason why we even went to it was to beat an ideology.
Right.
Right.
We want to be the first.
Well, not even the first. We don't want the communists to be the first. That was the ideology of the day.
Yeah.
We don't want the communists to be the first on the moon. We have to beat them. Capitalism superior. That was it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Then we got there, and then we came back, and we are like, well, that was cool, but we didn't do it. We didn't get anything out of it other than recognition.
Yeah.
That was kind of pointless. And then after that, you notice NASA's budget got like just incredibly cut,
Right.
and they had to save for decades before they even sent more to the moon.
Yeah.
NASA never lost interest. It was the government that lost interest.
Yeah.
And
Because
and then when we found out what resources were up there on the moon, it was nothing of significant value, nothing that we don't have here on Earth.
Right.
So we were like, well, there's no point in going up there anymore. That's what they thought, at least. And it's like, well, no, there's still so much we don't know about it.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying send people up there all the time, but send more rovers. Why are we only sending one at a time?
Right. Send multiple. Have them scour different
Right.
parts of the moon.
Exactly. Send like 10, 12, 15 of them at a time, and just have them scout around and send images and data back to Earth.
Right. I mean, is it possible because it's easier to limit the amount of... Because obviously we know the government hides things from us and tries to keep things from us and stuff like that. Could it be the reason why they send one at a time because there's less footage for them to doctor and manipulate? Potentially.
It could be. I just think it's budget cost. They don't want to send it.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Right. I mean, unless it's going to bring them a wealth of currency, it's not really a priority.
The more money they spend on all these projects, such as like healthcare, education, NASA, whatever have you, it's less money in their pockets.
Right.
So they don't. They don't want to spend it.
Education's getting worse in today's age. Well,
it's
they're just letting that fall apart.
The craziest thing, it's not even their money.
Right.
It's our money. It's us, the taxpayers.
I know.
All right, we're getting political with it, but let's get back into the subject of this.
I was going to say we should change side because it's not supposed to be about politics. This podcast, but yeah, if there are beings that can survive in the cold and living on the moon, and they have a base on the moon, that'd be very interesting how they are able to get around so easily, being able to visit us. I mean, they've got the sun. We supposedly saw a spacecraft in a previous podcast siphoning energy from the sun.
All right, and I think it'd be pretty easy to hide a base on the moon as well. I mean, the moon's not small.
Oh yeah.
Despite what we see in the sky, it is not small at all.
Oh yeah.
It's about what, a third of the size of Earth? I think they said.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe slightly smaller, but it's about a third of the size of Earth. Yeah. But I mean,
in plain sight, we can't see through the moon. I mean,
yeah, and a whole half of the side of it, we barely even, sent satellites to try to discover anything over there. Apparently, China landed something over there, but I take what China says with a grain of salt. I don't, I don't doubt that they did, but at the same time, I don't doubt they really did much with it.
Right.
But even still, like, they didn't rove the entire dark side of the moon there.
Right.
So it would be so easy to hide a base on that side.
Oh yeah. I mean,
whether ours or aliens, I don't think it's ours because again, I don't think any of the world's governments are gonna, financially support that. But and all these conspiracy theorists are saying, oh, Russia has bases up there, the Nazis had bases up there, China has bases, America has bases. No, we're not financing that. Trust me. We're just not. These governments around the world are not going to finance that.
No.
They don't care enough for that.
I mean, the return on the investment to do so. I mean, yes, you'd have the rich interest in going out there, but how much would they lose that in pocket to set all this thing up to make it possible?
I mean, Elon
They'd
Musk,
lose so
he
much.
straight up said, like, yeah, I have no desire to ever go out in space, period. I know I have no desire to ever set up any kind of outpost on the dark side of the moon or anything like that. He goes, maybe on our side of the moon and use it as a launching point to get to Mars and then build one on Mars to get further out. But he's like, beyond that, like, he goes, I have no interest in doing that because there's no return on investment for it. It's just out of sheer accessibility for humanity.
Right.
You know, that's basically what he was saying.
I mean, the only time I could see us having our governments possibly start to invest is if resources become very scarce and we kind of need another planet.
Right. Well, I mean, they've talked about asteroid mining being a thing in the possible future.
Yeah, but things like that.
But yeah, as far as the moon goes, if there are bases on the moon, they're alien. 100% they're alien. They're not ours. No. And then they're either on the dark side of the moon, which is very plausible because, again, as we see, I mean, it's incredibly cold on that dark side of the moon. Like, it's negative hundreds of degrees, both Fahrenheit and Celsius. However you want to do your measurement. But and then the craft that we've had here on Earth are all like negative 32, negative 35. So I mean, I think that might even be too cold for them.
Yeah.
But to live underneath the surface on the light side of the moon, that would be in the negative like 30 degrees temperatures during the day.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible the right technology to survive out there and the right stuff, but...
I mean, these things have got to be more advanced than we are anyways. And if that's the case, they probably got heaters, too, that can keep them warmer on the dark side.
Oh, yeah. If they have technology to get here, they have the technology to keep themselves warm and situated, 100%.
Yeah, keep them climatized to their climate.
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah, I mean, like...
for all we know,
Go ahead.
There could be humans on the moon, but not as we know humans. Because, there's many theories about abductions and possible crossbreeding and stuff like that. They may have humans, so to speak, mixed with them. Possibly on the moon, even.
Well, supposedly the abductions have declined in recent years. Like, significantly to where they're almost non-existent. And supposedly, the theory behind that is the government made a deal with these aliens that they stop abducting us.
Right. I mean, yeah. And that would insinuate that the government are in talks with the aliens. It could also have an impact in why we're not doing so much for the moon.
Could
Possibly
be, yeah.
The aliens don't want us there.
Right. That
and things, you know.
So from what I heard from a lot of different theorists and read a lot and heard podcasts of and things like that, is that these aliens that are here, there are some that are malicious out there, but they tend to stay away from us.
Yeah.
But the ones that are like monitoring us and taking us and stuff, they're actually good aliens from what I've heard and read and stuff like that. They're here to help us.
Right.
But our governments are the ones who are keeping them secret from us.
Yeah.
And
I mean, why listen to our government when we can listen to the aliens instead? What if we vote them out of power and say, well, we want to do what the aliens want to do? You know?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, though. That's why I'm skeptical, because like, if these aliens are here to help us and they're good and everything, why do they listen to our government? Like, why? Right. They must know that our governments are keeping us in the dark.
Yeah. So maybe they prefer it that way, or something along those lines.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, hell, if these aliens are listening to our governments, they're not good aliens. I'm just saying it. They're not good aliens. They're not here to help us.
They've trusted the government commit on a daily basis, not getting into politics and all that kind of stuff. But the government is not somebody a good person should listen to.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they do have a choice, so to speak, because obviously they don't seem like violent. They don't seem to be like a warring.
I mean, we'd all be dead if they were.
Maybe for the sense of peace and whatnot, they allow the government to keep doing what they're doing. But If we go back to the ancient civilizations and whatnot, supposedly having these gods, so to speak, some claiming them to be aliens and whatnot, trying to guide the human race to be better people. It would add into the credence that they're good aliens, That's why they came to Earth, to originally guide our ancient civilizations, help us prosper, help us build the pyramids and things like that. It would make sense if they were good, but maybe they don't need to do it anymore because it's gone in its own way, and the governments and all that are all talking with them. Who knows?
All right. All right. Well, we are at the break point.
Roger that.
So we will go on break here, come back at the top of the hour, and we will have our final segment of the show.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you all for joining us so far.
Yeah. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon.
Yep.
I just lost thousands of dollars as a business until I started running my creatives on Snapchat ads. Right now, if you set up an ad account and spend $350, they will give you $375 in ad credit.
Welcome back. Get Aaron back in here. Alright, we are back.
Yeah.
Alright, this is the final hour for the Phenomenal podcast today, Secrets of the Moon.
Yeah.
Alright, we are going to be going over moon landings and astronauts' accounts of what they found out there.
Right.
So, for the moon landings, what was it? Apollo... Was it Apollo 13 that was the first one? I believe so.
I don't quite remember. Because,
Apollo 11 was the first one.
Apollo 11. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Apollo 13 is the famous one there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Apollo 13, that was like the big famous one that, there's a film based on it and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the one where they had the difficulties and everything. That's why, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
they ended up needing to get in contact with NASA and go through a whole like process and stuff because they're having issues.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's why I was remembering that one. And but Apollo 11 was the first one back in July 16th of 1969 to July 24th of 1969.
Right.
Launched from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. I believe that's in Cape Canaveral. Isn't that is that Texas or is that Florida? No, Cape Canaveral's Florida. Florida.
Hmm.
Yeah, Cape Canaveral in Florida. All right.
Yeah. That's some little bit of a not so known fact. Apparently, the soil on the moon stunk. It had a very strong odor. It didn't smell very pleasant, and it was incredibly hard to brush off their suits. It apparently stuck to them and things like that. And by the time it got to Earth and was put in like containers to be evaluated by the lab, the smell was gone. But it did have a lingering smell to it, supposedly.
Interesting.
Yeah, not something that's often talked about, but yeah, I found that
I think it was
bit of information.
the Apollo 17 mission. They brought back some of the soil as well, and they landed at a completely different spot than some of the others. And they
Right.
found there was like orange sedimentary rock mixed with the lunar surface. If I can
Right.
find that, I had the site pulled up earlier. I accidentally exited out all my stuff, so
Yeah.
bear with me, people. I'm sorry. I know. Old screwy Josh messed that up. Trying to find it here about the orange soil here.
Yeah. I mean, supposedly, though, I'm just going to send you something. This was taken in 1972.
Okay,
No,
the orange soil discovery means that the moon is still active enough to produce volcanic rock. Prior to Apollo 17, most scientists believed that the moon died geologically about 3 billion years ago and had changed since little. So now they're saying it's volcanic rock.
Yeah. Um,
Meaning that there's still volcanoes on the moon, is what they're trying to say.
which is strange because, we consider planets, being formed through volcanoes, but why a moon? That's something interesting to talk about in itself because
So the
why,
orange.
why would the moon need a
So
volcano?
this is from NASA, NASA's website here. It's I'm gonna pull this up. We're gonna kind of go over some of this together because this is
Yeah.
about the moon landings and the accounts. I believe this came from the Apollo 17 mission. We'll go
Right.
over this here in a little bit. We go ahead. Oh, wrong page here. Hold on. All right, here we go. Trying to zoom in a little bit so we can get this a little bit bigger. There we go. All right, and then all right, so we'll go over this now. All right, so we got this document here again. It's from NASA. 74220 soil, soil or clod, 1,180 grams.
Right.
So this is right here. This is what we're looking at for this particular form. This clump of soil. As you can see, it's orange. This is the moon right here, by the way, in case everybody. Yeah. Some people might be wondering. Who knows? All right. So as you can see, it's orange, right? That indicates that there are some sort of volcanic rocks, and that's what NASA's saying, right? Compared to 74240 right there. That's more grayish, or 74260, that's like grayish. Even 7400 or 1.5.
Yeah.
is 7. I'm just throwing out numbers here. It sounds like over my thing, but
Yeah.
7400 and a half. It's like grayish.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's go over this. Okay, I just page down, but all right. It doesn't want to zoom in. All right. Let's see if I can't right click and zoom. No, I cannot. All right. So I'll go over this then. I'll read it. So 74220 and most of the drive tube are nearly pure orange glass, while 74240 and 74260 and the top 5 centimeters of the drive tube are mixtures of orange glass and ancient Mar soil.
Right.
Or ancient mare soil.
No idea what mare soil is. But...
I don't either. A high portion of the orange glass in the drive tube is derivative and now black due to fine olivine needles and amantic feathers. There is often referred to as black glass, but
compositionally.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read it, but it's got my screen's even small as well, people. So, compositionally, it is found to be the same as the orange glass. So the orange is a glass. It's not really even really a soil. They're saying.
Right, and glass is produced from sand and heat.
Right.
So. Yeah, I mean
as you can see here, this is all NASA here, right? This is about the crater from the Apollo 17. So this is from Apollo 17, right? This is all the data they collected from it, and as you can see, it's multiple pages. Like, if you know how to read these, chemical composition, all that kind of stuff, by all means, you can read it all.
Yeah, I'm no physicist or whatever this
chemist
is.
Or whatever,
I can't understand half of this stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, if you're into this kind of stuff and you're into the science of it, NASA has it all on their page. You go to NASA's page. You can look it up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so go to them. They have it all there. You can look it up for yourself.
Yeah. That's incredibly interesting. I mean, the fact that a volcano formed on the moon, in the moon.
It's curator.jsc.nasa.gov, and that will bring you to it.
Right.
And they were Apollo 17 was the first ones to come back with like a reddish orange sediment from the moon.
Right. Yeah, so that would have been.
Oh, it's because they brought the geologists with them to the moon. That's why.
Yeah, but
it was the final manned moon mission too.
Right. So let's go with this for a moment. So if there are supposedly volcanoes in the moon or on the moon or what have you to have produced this, or what if it's actually been created through crashed blast engines or something along those lines?
They named this crater where they found it called Shorty Crater. It's Shorty Crater, right?
Yeah.
So Shorty Crater's orange soil formed from molten drops that sprayed from a lunar volcanic eruption some 3.64 billion years ago.
Right.
So 3.64 billion years ago is when they're saying that the soil's been sitting here like this. And that's why it was all glassy.
Right. Interesting. I mean, the fact that there's a volcano in space, I mean, it's already wild enough that we have a monop on it, but how the hell is a volcano formed in space, like, with the lava and all that? It's just wild to think about, isn't it? Like, how? Like, just imagining a volcano just floating in space and creating a moon around it, it's a bit like,
Alright. So this was done by a 3-man crew. The commander was Eugene A. Cernan. Command module pilot was Ronald E. Evans. Lunar module pilot was Harrison H. Schmidt.
I mean, if that's the case, and this was there from billions of years ago, that would rule out the moon traveling here, would it not? Because if the moon travelled here, wouldn't have that blown off, possibly? Or could it have been underneath the surface, and as time's gone on, possible erosion to the moon has brought it to the surface, now it's here? I don't know. It's crazy to think about that. I'm just trying to imagine.
Yeah. They were gone for 12 days, 13 hours, 51 minutes, and 59 seconds. Jeez.
12 days
spent 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 44 seconds on the surface doing a spacewalk to retrieve it.
Right. That's scary.
Yeah.
Being there for multiple days, knowing any moment something could go wrong. The amount of trust they would have had to have had in their technology, their suits and everything.
So the thing that kills me about these spacewalks, right, is especially for like, okay, so when you go out onto like the space station or you go out on like your space shuttle, you know, you're tethered in, right?
Right.
So you're still good, right? But when you go on the moon, these guys aren't tethered.
Yeah, they have no tether at all.
Yeah. I was like,
one
bounce or a wrong jump or whatever, you're gone.
I mean,
there you go.
They've already jumped on the moon and they fell back down to it, but still, that's not the point. I mean, you'd think they'd at least be, like, I understand, like, having a tether long enough, but then you could also have something along the lines of what ice pickers do, where they jam something into the ground and then just thread the rope through.
I know it's only like video games and stuff, right? But there are like these simulator video games, right? And they have like the moon gravity programmed into it and everything. And you're driving these rovers on the moon. You know, those rover cars, right?
Yeah.
And they go off a jump or something, right? At a certain speed. These games, like, you can actually go flying off into space with that.
Right.
And they've proved that through the game. And they're using the algorithms of the moon's gravity. So theoretically, in a real world situation, that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, goodness knows what could happen, you know.
So I mean, I'm sure. I'm not trying to say it will happen because the people that they send on these missions tend to be very smart and intelligent people that know not to do certain things and know the risks.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny that, like, you know, this could happen.
Yeah. he's like, I'm just going to jump for the sake of it. He's just like, oh shit, no, I'll keep going, Sorry, language, sorry. No, oh no, I'm floating off in space.
So this was launched December 7th, 1972. That was the last manned mission to the moon. Apollo 18 was canceled. So we haven't stepped foot on the moon as a human race since 1972.
51 years or 52 years. It's coming up on 52 years. In November. But that's a long time.
Yeah, 51 years, almost 52 years as of... What did I say it was again? December 7th. So as far come December of so it's been 50 years, almost 52, almost 51. Okay. As of December 7th, it'll be 51 years.
Okay, yeah. I was wrong off for a year or two.
51 years though that we haven't stepped foot on the moon.
Right.
Like, what are we doing? You know?
I mean, how else are we going to learn more? Without doing it, like you said, it's probably just due to money. There's no investment for it that pays off. It's just expended funds.
We used our traditional Saturn V rockets that we've been using on a lot of our spacecraft to get there as well. What's that new rocket there that what's his name? Elon Musk. God, why am I saying what's his name? Elon Musk used a new rocket. SpaceX rocket. His new rockets there. Oh, the Falcon 9s. So NASA was talking about putting those on our rockets now. Or using those as our rockets to put on our spacecraft.
Yeah.
Because we've been using those, or he's been using those for Starlink. And they're reusable.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could recover them and reuse them. So, I mean, that just makes sense to me. Let's just use those.
Yeah, I'd be terrified going onto a spacecraft with a rocket attached to it because
Yeah,
I'm looking at.
And they were talking about. I remember watching a show with Elon Musk on there, and he was talking about like, could we get to space by any other means other than rocketry? You know, and he was saying no, not in our lifetime, not until something. He's like, it's beyond our technology to do anything other than that.
Yeah.
He's like, because there's nothing that produces enough energy to propel us that up into the air like that.
Yeah, I mean, this thing's going at like 2,000 kilometers an hour and climbing still. Like,
and another thing that I found was interesting is, you know, you have to have the right amount of fuel in those things to propel the amount of weight to go up there. But then you add more fuel, and guess what you have to add if you add more fuel? More fuel.
Yeah.
Because so this is why rocket science is so crazy to me, because you know you have to have more fuel because that fuel adds weight as well.
Oh yeah.
So you have to have fuel for the fuel.
Yeah, fuel for the fuel, the amount of calculations because then that adds weight, and then you got to worry about it affecting the trajectory, the speed.
Right.
A possible shift in that fuel's location could cause it to go in a completely different direction if something was to go wrong. The possibility of explosions.
It's just, you know, we keep launching stuff almost daily into space. You know, if not daily, then weekly.
Yeah.
But we're not launching people up there no more.
No.
Except for the International Space Station. And most of the time, we're not even launching people up there anymore. We're launching supplies up to them.
Yeah, I mean, all it takes is...
Yeah, we're using automated drone technology to dock to the stations now.
Yeah. I mean, all it takes is for a few things to go wrong and you're completely screwed on one of those rockets. So
I mean, I agree with that now for the ISS. Send a drone rocket ship up there. Just send a rocket up there that can, you know, that you can pilot from the ground. You know, because that's just safer.
Right. Yeah, then you're not risking human lives. You can experiment more with it. When you're confident and you know you can definitely do it successfully, then possibly human life.
Because I mean, that's what we've been doing from what I've read up on. We're not even sending people up there anymore to send supplies. We're just sending rockets with that we can move around.
So I've got a question for you. If you had the chance to go to space, would you?
Yeah, I think I would.
I don't think I'd dare. I'd be too worried about something going wrong with me.
Like that image that you sent me here. I'm gonna put it up on the screen here, right now.
Yeah, this was taken from the 1972, supposedly.
This is the Apollo 17 picture.
Yeah,
I mean,
that they took.
So here, I'm gonna put this up on the screen for everybody. I mean, look how gorgeous this is. You're telling me you don't want to go to space and see this? I would do just about anything to go up there and see this. This is absolutely amazing.
Well, it's just I'd just be too paranoid about the rocket just exploding. I mean, you talk about you're scared to go in the oceans because if you know your ship messes up, the consequences of your rocket are much more disastrous if something goes wrong than a ship on the ocean. while I'd love to see this, yes, I'd be absolutely terrified. Because if that goes wrong, you're exploding, or something. You know, something's happening to you.
Right.
You're not gonna like. It's Well, I'd love to. At the same time, I'd be too scared. Honestly, I'm not confident enough in our technology to successfully get up there and things like that. I mean, one of Elon Musk's rockets exploded. So even Elon Musk gets things wrong despite all his experience and whatnot. So yeah, like I'd be too scared personally myself.
I mean, I would love to go to space. I think that would be absolutely amazing. Now, as far as like going beyond, like up to the moon or anything like that, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'll stay in low Earth orbit. But yeah, it's incredible. So Apollo 13, this is the famous one here. 5 days, 22 hours, 54 minutes, and 41 seconds. If I remember correctly, they never actually stepped foot on Earth, or sorry, on the moon.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, they never stepped foot on the moon, because they had malfunctions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just went around the moon and used its trajectory to push themselves back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was correct. So. Yeah. So I'm gonna put this on the stream too. This is the trajectory of the Apollo 13. As you can see,
Right.
where they were going to the moon on the bottom there, the green line. So you see liftoff right there.
I'm waiting for it to pop up for me.
Yeah.
There we go.
So you see
Now I see
liftoff like right here where the red is.
Yeah.
This is the command and service module separation right here. This is low Earth orbit. They docked, I believe, at the International Space Station for supplies and refuel and all that kind of stuff. I think they were delivering supplies. And then they continued on their journey. First, mid-course correction. So they had to correct their course right here.
Right.
So this is where they had the oxygen tank incident. So yeah, they were running out of oxygen. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah. They had to do a second mid-course correction right here. And it tells you the timeline of it too. So this is already a day into it, and they had to do their first after a day of being out there, that they had to do a correction. Over 2 days, that's when they had their, on their second day, they had their oxygen incident. This is going on, this is their third day. They had to do their third correction, or the second correction.
Yeah.
Then they went around the moon because they were like, all right, yeah, we can't do this. We're gonna run out of oxygen. We gotta turn around.
Yeah.
So this is the trans-Earth interjection. So 79 hours in. That's 4 days in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or no, that's still 3 days in.
Yeah.
Yeah, 84 hours would be the... So this is definitely past the third mid-course correction.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're coming. Fourth mid-course correction. Command module service module separation. So this is where they ditched their whole thing and they were just in the command module.
Yeah.
They're undocking. And then the landing.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of fear and the amount of anxiety that must be rushing through their heads with the oxygen incident, and the amount of trust they had to have had in, like, Earth's intelligence for the mission and whatnot, must have been absolutely massive. Because imagine operating under that pressure, knowing that you're about to die of oxygen deprivation because something's gone wrong and you're in the middle of space, and Nobody can help you other than the instructions you're getting from Earth. If it does not work, you are gone.
Okay, I'm gonna play this as well. This is the Apollo 17. This is the second EVA. I think they called it the EVA.
Yeah.
So, yeah, second EVA, which EVA stands for extra vehicle extra vehicular activity.
Yeah.
Sorry, playing on there. All right. So let's turn on display here. Here we go.
I was strolling on the moon one day in a merry, merry month of December. Now, May, when much to my surprise, a pair of bunny eyes. Do-do-do-do-do. Oh, is this a neat way to travel? Isn't it great? Dum-da-dum-dum-dum. Dum-da-dum-dum-dum. Dum-da-dum-dum-dum.
Gotta love it.
To skip along.
Yeah.
But me, boy, skip.
So yeah, that was their actual audio too, which is just funny. You know, it shows you the humor that they have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, you know, they're out there just living their best life.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just enjoying. Awkward by recording of Ride of Valkyries, played from Mission Control. So that was Cernan and Schmidt as they began their second lunar excursion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're just out there joking around and having a good old time. Yeah, man, they are just. Yeah. Apparently, they did a third one as well. So they conducted 3 of them, and then a couple solo activities as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, like, if I knew I could go safely and there was no way some things would go wrong and we definitely had the technology down, then yeah, it'd be awesome to go to the moon and just have a little bit of a giggle and a gander.
Yeah,
Maybe
right.
do a drawing in the dirt. It's just how funny would it be to just write "fuck you" on the moon surface? So when people are looking through the fucking telescope over the moon, we just see a big
language,
word
man.
"fuck you."
Yeah, watch the language.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
My bad. But I just figured that it'd be funny to do that though.
Yeah.
Just if I look up in
Well,
space.
apparently they for a long time they've been trying to get photos of the landing site, and
Yeah.
they've had a hard time of doing it up until 2009, I think.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, 2009 they finally got one.
Mm.
So they must have landed in a real awkward area.
Yeah. And you think it'd be, well, I don't know. I guess with it rotating and whatnot, it'd make it hard as well. But you think you'd be able to get the picture of the spot where they landed? I mean, it should have left a decent crater. To a degree, like not really a crater, more of a indent for where they landed and things.
Hmm.
I mean, how heavy the object they travelled in must have been. I mean, it didn't need to be that heavy. If they can stay on the surface with their suits because of the weight,
Right.
they wouldn't need the object to be that heavy. But I'm guessing with all the technology and all the stuff inside of the lander and whatnot, it would have been pretty heavy. And if the moon is being undisturbed and all that dust has been there, you know, it's like if you see dust on the surface here and you just stroke your finger through it, it's pretty clear, you know?
Right.
So surely that craft would have left a good indent.
apparently, so there's been the rumors out there that different astronauts have said stuff about seeing aliens out there.
Yeah.
And especially for the ones who have done the Apollo missions and been to the moon.
Oh yeah.
And when I was actually looking it up during one of the breaks here too, and before the podcast here, I looked it up, and there's a bunch of conspiracies about it, but there's nothing concrete and confirmed. But I was looking during the breaks, and I did find one.
Right.
And that was from Apollo 17 as well. One of the astronauts. Let me figure out which one it was here, so I'm correct on my information.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't on the moon, I believe. They said it was on their trip back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Harrison H. Schmitt. He was the one who came out and claimed and said that he saw something out one of the portholes as they were coming back from the moon. Saw something that was that came from the moon and like near where they were and flew past them.
Right.
There was no evidence of it, no video, anything. Just his word, his account. Nothing caught on camera.
Hmm.
So, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was one of the ones that was singing in that video.
Right.
Oh, that picture I showed to, the one that you gave me and I pulled up, that was also his picture.
Ah, nice.
Known as the Blue Marble. Yeah. So yeah, he was the one who claimed that there was something out there. He didn't want to use the term alien. So he just said it was something unidentified that was out there.
Right, yeah, that's what I mean.
But he's the only astronaut ever to have gone to the moon and stated that.
Right.
None of his colleagues with him saw it either.
And that's it's kind of crazy. I mean, you think about it in terms of like this unidentified craft isn't your own. You're in the middle of space, right?
Right.
Well, and you're on the moon. You are, very far away from home, and you spot some form of craft that isn't your own. Imagine what would be running through your mind.
The Russians.
And like, in all seriousness,
you know what?
That'd be terrifying.
Let me find this here. Oh god, I gotta find this. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, it'd be absolutely terrifying because if that was hostile or something came from that craft, what would you do? No one's going to save you. Nobody can save you. You've not got a weapon or a military to defend you.
Here we go.
You're on your own with this extraterrestrial...
Yeah, no, here we go. Here we go, right?
Yeah.
I'm pulling this off another person's video, by the way.
Yeah.
The most horrifying thing I have ever seen.
This is what it is. It's Chinese.
Agreed. They just trampled over the American Quran.
Isn't that
Just wait for it to show up.
law? Even on the moon, U.S. law applies 200 miles from a U.S. flag.
200 miles from the coastline. Now, is the moon?
Yeah. Oh god.
It is not. And running over a flag is not illegal.
You're not a lawyer, nerd.
I'm a corporate.
There we go. This is what it's gonna be like for us. Right here. If you guys haven't seen this show, Space Force, go check it out. It's hysterical. It's great.
Yeah.
He's got the parrot on him. Oh, what all that stuff is, but yeah, it's just the Chinese running over our American flag.
Yeah.
They had like a whole space fight and everything too, where they're like throwing wrenches at each other, and it's all slow mo because it's in space. It was great.
Imagine we end up sending like 2 spaceships up into space at the same time on 2 different.
Well, it was funny because spoiler for the show if you haven't seen it. Right? They I'm not gonna show you, but the Chinese and the Americans are on the rovers after the Chinese ran over the American flag. They're on the rovers and they're passing each other and they're smiling and like looking and waving at each other. Chinese go to the American base, the Americans go to the Chinese base, and they blow up each other's bases.
Yeah.
And then they meet in the middle, and they're like, they go back to their base and realize it's blown up, and then they have to work on the way to get home together.
Yeah. I mean, imagine 2 different countries and then like freaking spacecraft to the moon, and they're both there at the same time. They're like in the middle of a space fight.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened on the show. They were in this like little space war, and they blow up each other's base, and then they're like, "Well, now we're stranded on the moon. We need to get home." So
just imagine a real one though. Actually,
but as of the damage, the Chinese had certain stuff that was like still working, and the Americans had certain stuff that were still working. So they had like jerry-rigged their crafts together, and all squeeze in there to fly home. It was just, and they're all just bickering on the whole way home and fighting each other inside the craft. Yeah, and then when they get home, they're all honored as heroes in their home country.
Yeah.
Even though they accomplished nothing but blowing themselves up and barely even getting home.
Yeah. I mean, if that actually happened, would that be classed as an international incident?
I don't even know. Probably something along those lines.
I mean, yeah, the Chinese just go to the moon and just like, screw the American flag, it was just tear it down.
Yeah, it's not aliens. It's confirmed. It's just China or Russia up there with us. Yeah, confirmed. Space Force proved it.
We just wanted to scare them, That's why we sent them to the moon.
We're just flexing our tech on each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's crazy though that he said that, and he made it abundantly clear. He goes, I don't want to say it's an alien, but it was definitely something up there.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's what I've been talking about. It's crazy to think that they saw a craft out there. Were they being monitored the whole time while they were on the moon? What would be the purpose for the craft? Is the craft just happened to be passing by? Was it watching them, seeing what they're doing on the moon? Was it making sure they don't discover their base? There's so many possibilities of what that craft could have been there for. And that probably adds a lot of credence to why people think there are bases on the moon.
So
because of that reason.
I was listening to a podcast and they were actually talking about the same thing that we're talking about right now, as far as him saying that he saw something out there. Well, according to the person I was hearing, I don't remember the name. I'm sorry. But this person said that there was an abduction that happened that same day. In the direction of where the craft was apparently going. Now, when I looked it up when I came home from work, after listening to this podcast, I couldn't find any information about an abduction on that day.
Right.
Nothing about it. So, it could just be hearsay and conspiracy, as far as that goes. But and the paranoia of, he saw something, so there had to have been an abduction or something.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
that's for the viewers to decide. You believe what you want to believe.
If there was an abduction that day, why not just take the people on the moon? It's right there, easy to get to. Not got to worry about human forces. They're on the moon.
Right.
It'd be an easy pick.
Yeah. I mean, you would think, we had, the 17 Apollo missions. Not all of them made it on the moon, but at least orbited the moon. And only one astronaut out of all of them saw that.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's very skeptical. And we've had so many different rovers on the moon with no evidence of aliens.
Right.
So,
again, supposedly these crafts can camouflage themselves.
Right. I mean, there's endless possibilities. And there's always that speculation.
It's always going to be speculation until we get definitive proof at the end of the day.
Right. And that, that's something that, for you as the individual to believe or not believe.
Yeah.
The conspiracies. But yeah, he didn't come out about it until like way later into the 2000s and say that there was something out there, that he saw something. He kept that to himself. Now, whether that was the government telling him to keep quiet or just on his own accord, we don't know.
Yeah.
So.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean that's who knows what. But I find that very fascinating, and that no other there's been other astronauts too who have gone, like, say, just up into space or to the ISS, and they've said that they've seen stuff as well.
Yeah.
But there's like almost no evidence of these crafts in space, only on Earth.
Yeah.
But as far as for the moon, there's very little evidence to say that there's aliens on the moon, other than that one astronaut's account from Apollo 17. So I mean, you believe what you want to believe out there, people. I'm not here to tell you otherwise. If you believe that there are, good on you. If you don't believe it, good on you as well.
Yeah.
There's always the possibility. All I say is stay curious. Question it all. Question me.
Yeah. I mean, it's spooky to think that if they were being watched, that anything could happen to them. And we would have been able to do nothing about it at all, as well, if something had happened.
He'd just be all goofy with the aliens up there.
I know, right?
Jump around singing and dancing.
Yeah. I mean, that's it at the end of the day.
That's a definition of you gotta work hard and play hard right there.
Yeah.
And then there's you get those people at work who are all work and no play and all poopy pantsed about things.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you gotta have some fun as well. But
Most definitely.
Yeah. And as this community grows, I mean, like I said, the whole purpose of this channel is to hear your opinions as well. It's not just about hearing my voice talk. I know too well that you don't want to hear my voice all day long. Once we get this Discord up for the next podcast, come on in. We'll pull you onto the show.
Yeah, sounds good.
We'd love to hear your voices, as well as, we've had people in the chats. This guy offering us a promotion that I respectfully decline. But we've had others on the show that have talked and chat, and eventually we're gonna get people on the show to talk with us as well, and ask us questions, and we can ask them back.
Yeah.
Share your experiences with the stuff. I'm gonna go into our outro little part of the podcast here from this point on, unless you got any final thoughts, Aaron.
No, I think we're good. Possibility of aliens being on the moon, we don't know. If they are there, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the future, whether we have, whether they eventually come out to us, globally, and just be like, yeah, we're here. The government allows it or whatever. Cover-up may or may not be happening. Only time will tell. All we can do now is speculate and keep guessing.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna put on some I won't do that. All right, I was gonna put on some background music for this outro, but I'm gonna leave that off. So on the way out here, just want to say, next podcast, Next podcast will be next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, September the 19th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know if we have any UK viewers, but I'm not sure what time it is there where we start for you.
What time again? Sorry, so I can work it out.
5 Eastern, so about 4 hours ago.
So 10 p.m.
10 p.m. All right, so 10 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. Eastern here in the U.S. on the East Coast. We will be going over Bigfoot, abominable snowmen, things like that. The spooky, mysterious creatures of the tundra, the forests, and swamps.
Yeah.
So come in, stay tuned for that one. Like I said, we'll have the Discord up and running. So if you want to come join Discord, talk with us on there, either via chat or you want to come on the show, you'll have to go into the queue line and we'll pull you in. From there, we'll go ahead and share experiences. If you got pictures or anything, there'll be a spot to post the pictures and stuff like that. And we would love to hear from you guys on Discord as well as on here or YouTube as well. Again, on Twitch, we weren't able to get the first video on Twitch. Just didn't happen. Sorry.
Yeah.
It is what it is. However, our other episodes are up there on Twitch. First episode, our second episode, Oceans. It's expiring today. So if you want to check that out on Twitch, go check it out there. Pyramids and Ancient Civilizations expires in 6 days. So that's going to be gone in 6 days on Twitch. However, if you don't want to watch it on Twitch, our entire episode will be on YouTube as well. This episode will be on YouTube probably tomorrow. I'm not going to post it tonight. So if you want to rewatch this episode, you can rewatch it here on Twitch, free of charge. And tomorrow it will be on YouTube, free of charge, for all of our episodes there. Like and subscribe to our channels here on Twitch and YouTube. If you don't like our videos, leave us a comment, leave us a dislike. Does not hurt my feelings. Just hurts my algorithm. But
actually, it's actually good for the algorithm because it actually it adds activity.
Oh, so there you go. Leave a dislike. Leave a dislike. Yeah. But yeah, let us know how to improve. Let us know what topics you want to hear. You know, we're open to all. You know, your topic might not get picked for the following week, but it could get picked in the future.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about doing a little special thing for New Year's too, where I'm going to let the community decide what topic to do. We'll put out a poll or something.
Yeah, that could be cool.
It might not be on New Year's Eve or New Year's. It just depends on what week it falls on. But yeah, it's going to be on Monday. So yeah, it's probably going to be on the 2nd of January. 2nd January or 3rd of January will be our will be that show. But we'll let the community pick what you guys want to do. It's been fun. Great conversation tonight. I had a blast. Learned a lot actually too. Stuff I didn't know about. So stuff I gotta do some more reading on now.
All right, we got so much to. There's so much information out there, and so much to learn and figure out. It's just practically never ending.
And in case you guys haven't figured out for the episodes, it's every other week or every other Tuesday and Wednesday. Each week, we do a show once a week. So we did it today on Wednesday. Next week it'll be Tuesday, and the following week Wednesday. And they're all at 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Wherever the UK time is.
UK
time. And I usually pick a week, and then Aaron will pick a week, and I'll pick a week, and he picks a week. You know, for what we want to do for shows. So this was Aaron's pick. My pick is going to be on Bigfoot, abominable snowmen, swamp monsters, things like that. So excited to talk about that topic as well. And as far as the following week, we still haven't decided yet. We'll figure that out in time, and we'll let you know.
Yep, sounds like a plan.
Alrighty, without further ado, take care, everybody. Stay curious, and we'll catch you next week. Bye for now.
Thank you very much for tuning in. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Yep, bye for now.